today on Sportsdesk. These three men were responsible for 24 points as the Argos offense kicks into gear against the Eskimos. The Jays were hoping Jimmy would be the key to snapping out of their West Coast blues. And it's a battle of the arms as the race in the West continues in L.A. Welcome to Sports Desk. Also ahead, we'll take a look at the Buffalo Sabres as they prepare for a new season, and we've got news from the Davis Cup. But first of all, we'll take you to the CFL. Edmonton Eskimos were in Toronto Saturday night to take on the Argos at the Sky Dome. Both Matt Dunnigan and Tracy Ham were on the sidelines, though, so Ricky Foggy and Warren Jones stepped in. This game also marked the debut of David Williams, a former CFL MVP who became an Argo this week after a surprising trade with the Eskimos. So Williams will be going up against his old teammates, and what a debut it was. Early first quarter, Ricky Foggy throws deep to Williams. A great one-handed catch that set up a field goal. Late in the first, Foggy with a play fake goes deep to Paul Masadi. Masadi with the acrobatic catch, and it was 10-1 Argos after 15 minutes of play. For the Argo defense, they dominated the first half. Harold Hallman, he pops Warren Jones, ball comes loose. Argos recover. That set up another Argo field goal. Now time is running out in the half, so Argo owner Bruce McNall calls in the play. He says, go to Williams in the end zone. So what does Foggy do? He goes to Williams in the end zone. That made it 20-4 Argos at the half, and Bruce McNall says, yeah, that's what I wanted. Third quarter, Toronto up 23-4. Foggy hooks up with Williams again. This one for a 12-yard touchdown. That made it 30-4 for the Argos. Late in the third, Foggy airs it out again. This time he'll find a wide-open Ragib Ishmael, and the Rocket races home for a 72-yard touchdown. They went on to beat Edmonton by a score of 47-28, so Toronto improves to 8-4 in the East. One other CFL game Saturday night found the Saskatchewan Roughriders in BC to take on the Lions. Going into this one, the Riders knew that they would have to contain Doug Flutie. And as expected, we ended up with a high-scoring affair. We'll pick it up early. First quarter, John Volpe. He goes to the outside, then reverses his path. Gets some good blocking here as Volpe goes 24 yards for the score. In he goes. The Lions led 7-0. Later on in the quarter, Kent Austin. He was looking. He goes deep to Ray Elgard. He goes in for the major. 35-yard touchdown strike, and that ties it up at 7. Now we're in the second quarter. Riders leading by 1. Austin goes to the end zone for Jeff Farrell, his second of the game. The Riders lead 21-13. Late in the quarter, Riders up by 8. Austin. He finds Elgard on the out pattern, goes for 25 yards for the touchdown. And the Riders led by 15 points. In the second, Rough Riders now leading by 8. Austin Fairholm, they hook up once again. That's Fairholm's third touchdown reception as the Riders led 48-27. Fourth quarter, here's BC, Doug Flutie. He finds Darren Flutie alone in the end zone. That was a brother-to-brother touchdown. First for the Flutie brothers, but not so good for the score. 49-27 in favor of Saskatchewan. A big game for Kent Austin. 49-47 was the final. Kent Austin tossed a team record 6 touchdown passes. 5 of them came before halftime, so a big game for him. Well, Week 12 of the CFL will wrap up Sunday with Hamilton in Calgary, and Winnipeg will be in Ottawa. This one will be a battle for second place in the East, with Ottawa looking to improve to an even 6-6 record. The Blue Bombers know they're going to have to crank it up a notch. They've got the second worst offense in the league.
Now, it would appear that the Blue Bombers are still suffering from a Grey Cup hangover. You see, their biggest problem has been consistency.
If we can solve that problem and put together a string of good games, then we can take advantage. It's not too late to do that, and we're certainly not going to give up.
And the Bombers' frustration begins with offense. Despite racking up some impressive yardage, the Bombers have still lost games. Last week, for example, Tom Burgess had over 400 yards offense against the BC Lions, but Winnipeg still lost.
What's a good game? Stats don't mean anything to me, and you know, we had a lot of yards. A lot of it was cleanup. We just didn't get the ball in the end zone, and that's our job.
And we have been averaging 450, 450 yards offense, probably a game, just at a guess. And that's right from the beginning of the season. What we haven't been doing is putting the ball in the end zone frequently enough.
Their defense is a Bomber strength, but has also become inconsistent lately, allowing the opposition to explode for some very big games.
We're giving up way too many big plays, which is the main thing. And, you know, most teams, you know, don't have the patience to drive the whole field on us. Every now and then they'll get one, but we can give up one a game. But when you're giving up one 90-yard bomb time after time, it's going to be tough to win.
However, the Bombers' one sure thing so far this season is running back Robert Mims. Mims is after his 800-yard rushing game in the last 12. 3 more, and he will tie the CFL record held by ex-Blue Bomber Willard Reed.
Well, we've got more to come on Sports Desk, lots more. The battle-weary Toronto Blue Jays were in Oakland again to face the A's, and all those extra inning games may have started to take their toll. They had a good outing by Jimmy Key, but on this day, the A's bats proved too powerful. And the big West Coast series continued. We'll have highlights from the Braves and the Dodgers when we return, so stay with us.
So much land. So few roads. Was Canada made for the Pathfinder, or vice versa?
In recent weeks, people all over Canada have tried Pear's shampoo and conditioner. In a few words, what do they think of Pear's?
I most certainly would buy the shampoo and conditioner again. The price is marvelous. Perfect.
Definitely like the fragrance.
The shampoo makes my hair feel soft, manageable, and very shiny.
You're not spending a lot of money for a wonderful shampoo.
I liked it.
Pear's, try it yourself and give your family clean, shiny hair.
Well, these are tough times for the Toronto Blue Jays. Going into their afternoon game against the Oakland A's, their 4 last games had gone into extra innings. So Saturday, they would be counting on a big outing from Jimmy Key to give their beleaguered bullpen a much-needed rest. Well, they packed them in for this one. Had a fan even sitting in the scoreboard. But the Jays, leaving far too many men on base during this road trip. This is 3rd inning, 2 on, 2 outs. Joe Carter grounds to short to end the threat. No score in the game. A close call for Jimmy Key in the 5th. Harry Steinbach drove one off of his right forearm. Gruber got the out at first. And fortunately for Key, after they checked out his arm, he was able to stay in the game. So top of the 7th, one of the key at-bats of the game. Mookie Wilson, he's at second with 2 out, but Mike Moore catches Devon White looking for strike 3, and yet another runner is stranded. Game was scoreless through 7, but in the 8th, the A's finally got to Key. This is 2 on, 2 out. Willie Wilson lines one up the alley and left center for extra bases. Mike Gallego, Ricky Henderson, they both come in to count. And that made it 2-0 for Oakland. Now Dwayne Ward in on relief. Harold Baines bounces a single through to the left side. Wilson will come in to score. That made it 3-0 Oakland. They added another run, went on to blank the Blue Jays 4-0. And you know what? Toronto has stranded 31 runners in their last 3 games. Not a good sign. So what were the Boston Red Sox doing? Well, they were all over the Yankees. Joe Morgan hoping that the Sox could make it 2 in a row over New York. Last of the second, Wade Taylor, he flunked Tony Pena, but Pena says, hey, that's okay, here's the ball. So Pena then stole second, then Luis Rivera. He singles to center. The ball gets right by Bernie Williams, rolls to the wall, so in comes Pena to score. Rivera, he got the 3rd. That made it 1-0 for Boston. Now top of the 3rd, some good Boston defense. Jody Reed makes the diving stab. Throw picked clean by Mo Vaughn, and that retires Randy Velarde. Later on in the 3rd, Steve Sachs ties the scores. He belts his 9th home run of the year. This one right up into the screen. And that made it 1-1. But now in the home half of the 3rd, Jack Clark answers back. Smashes one deep to right with a man on. This is Clark's 25th home run, a 2-run shot. And Boston goes up 3-1. You know, the Red Sox got all the breaks in this one. Tony Pena's roller to the right side. It's booted by Steve Sachs. Scott Cooper comes in to score. Yankees didn't have a chance in this one. A 12-1 final. Homer, Steve Sachs, his 9th of the year for New York. For Boston, Steve Lyons, 2 for Phil Plantier. And Bob Zubczyk got his first homer of the year. So what were the Tigers doing? Well, they lost their 5th in a row, 5-2 to the Brew Crew. Doug Henry coming up with his 10th save. Cecil Fielder smashed his 43rd homer of the year. So let's check in on the American League East standings. Well, Boston has crept to a half game behind the Toronto Blue Jays. And on Sunday, the Jays will face Oakland. They'll have to win it to hang on to first place. And you can see the game right here on TSN beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Twins may have lost 4 of their last 6 games, but they're still looking good to clinch the AL West. Saturday night, they were at home to take on the Rangers. Jose Guzman on the mound. He has pitched exceptionally well for Texas lately. Guzman had won 5 straight decisions with an ERA of 1.44 over 6 games. Well, Guzman defeated the Twins 5 days ago, so the Rangers were hoping he could do it again. In the bottom of the first, he's greeted with a 2-out, 2-run home run to center by Kent Herbeck. And Minnesota went up 2-0. Now to the top of the third, the Rangers trailing by a run. Ruben Sierra singles to right center. Here comes Julio Franco. That ties the game up at 2. So to the bottom of the fourth, and the Twins regain their lead. Brian Harper rips a shot to left. Here comes Chili Davis. He'll come in to score, and the Twins go up 3-2. Now to the bottom of the 7th. 6-3 Twins. Scott Leyes hits a pinch hit double that rolls to the wall in left. Brian Harper scores. That made it 8-3 Minnesota. The Rangers were only able to add one more run in an 8-4 loss to the Twins. Homers for Rafael Palmeiro and Jack Doherty in a losing cause for the Rangers, but for the Twins, it was Kent Herbeck's 18th of the year. That's some other scores for you. It was the Angels over Chicago by a score of 4-3. Bo Jackson, he hit his 3rd homer of the year for Chicago, and Brian Harvey came up with his 41st save. Well, Mike Schooler picked up his 6th save as Seattle down Kansas City 4-1. Edgar Martinez hitting his 14th homer for the Mariners. And Cleveland beat Baltimore 10-1. Homers in this one, Albert Bell and Cal Ripken. Now on to the big NL West series between the Braves and the Dodgers. Atlanta took Game 1 Friday night and was looking to build on its half-game lead. They called Charlie Leibrandt to the mound. He had not lost since August the 7th. But Orel Hershiser has been equally as hot. He has won 5 straight, including 2 against the Braves. He is caught in a pitcher's battle there. He's got Greg Olson looking. No score in the game. Here's Charlie Leibrandt. He gets Juan Samuel looking. Still, no score in the game. Fine defense as well in this game. Brett Butler hits a grounder to short. Rafael Belliard with a great range over to first, and he gets out Butler. So to the bottom of the 8th. Braves now leading 1-0. Pinch hitter Mitch Webster singles to left field. Here comes Samuel. He will score. That ties the game up at 1. So in the bottom of the 9th, 1 out. Man on second for Samuel. Hits a shot to the gap in right center field. Ball goes all the way to the wall. Cal Daniels, he's motoring in. He will score. And the Dodgers come from behind to win by a score of 2-1. They are happy in Los Angeles. So let's check out the standings. Well, it is Los Angeles that is on top. Atlanta following a half game behind. The rubber match will be played on Sunday. Should be quite the game. Well, now on to Pittsburgh, where the Pirates try to put out the fire on the Phillies. Take you to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Bobby Bonilla will single right up the middle. This is his 94th RBI of the season. Jay Bell will score, and the Pirates go up 2-0. Next batter up, Barry Bonds. He'll triple by the first base bag. Ball goes in the right field corner. Bonilla, he's going to score all the way from first. In he comes, and Pittsburgh goes up 3-0. Meanwhile, Zane Smith cruising along. Here he gets Dale Murphy. And a called 3rd strike, and the Pirates go on to beat the Phillies 7-0, and they reduce their magic number to just 1 game. So let's check out some other scores. It was New York downing the Cards 5-3. Hojo hitting his 36th homer of the year. John Franco picking up his 27th save. And it was the Padres over San Diego 3-2. Mark Leonard hitting his 2nd homer of the year for the Giants. And Larry Anderson picking up his 11th save for the Padres. And Rob Dibble picked up his 30th save as the Reds down Houston by a score of 4-1.
Today on Sportsdesk, tennis's tentative Toronto Blue Jays on the coast against the A's. It's Glavin versus Martinez in the big Western Showdown. And Lindros back on the ice in Oshawa.
Sports Desk, brought to you by Chevy Truck.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Gene Loretta. Nice to have you here. Also ahead, Week 4 in the NFL. 3 teams still undefeated. Davis Cup tennis results. Canada at Cuba. In the majors, the National League East race is over, and the American League East race is about as close as it could possibly get. Just a half game between the Jays and the Red Sox going into Sunday night's action. Think back to August the 7th, if you will. Toronto, 11.5 games up on Boston. Looked like the race was over, but while the Jays were napping, the Sox were surging. Toronto has now lost 5 of their last 6 games. Their bullpen is slumping. Their bats only 11 for their last 57 with men in scoring position. Toronto trying to avoid the sweep in Oakland facing Ron Darling. John Olerud with the man in scoring position. No dice. Juan Guzman on the hill for the Jays. He, too, is on his game. Harold Baines caught on strikes. But in the bottom of the third, Guzman had back-to-back walks. Runners advanced second and third on a sack. And then this pass ball by Pat Borders allowed Mark McGuire to score from third, 1-0 Oakland. Top of the fifth, the Jays get on the scoreboard. Pat Borders makes amends for his pass ball by belting this 2-run shot to left. His 4th homer of the season puts the Blue Jays up 2-1. On to the bottom of the 7th inning now. 3-1 for the Blue Jays. McGuire hits a chopper down to third. Gruber's throw is in the dirt. Olerud can't dig it out. Almar comes to throw it in, but Steinbach scores. Borders can't handle it. Tennis is upset, but there's nothing to do about it. The game's tied. Tennis would have something to smile about a little later on because Juan Guzman, 8 strikeouts, 2 hits over 8 innings. David Wells comes in for the save, and the Blue Jays defeat the Oakland A's 3-2. David Wells gets his first save of the season. Pat Porter's 4th homer of the season. Porter's had a great weekend. He had 5 RBI in Oakland.
Nice to get a win and gain a game on them finally. They've been playing so well the whole month that it's really tough to gain anything on them. Matter of fact, we've been losing. So maybe put together a streak and they'll go into a streak and we'll bury them.
You need as many as you can get, and you try to get them, you know, and hopefully you can get continue to get the pitching like we got. If you get the pitching like that, it's going to give you a chance to win some ball games.
So we're going to another tough series in Anaheim against the Angels. So it was nice to get this W tonight and move back up a game.
While the Jays are getting set for Anaheim, the Red Sox at home wrapping up a series of the Yankees. Everything going Boston's way early on. Alvaro Espinosa lines one to center in the third. Lyons, Steve Lyons with a great catch. 4th inning, the Sox catch another break. Luis Rivera tries for a force at third. His throw is wild. Now here's the break. Jim Leyritz tries to score, but Kevin Morton, the pitcher, blocks the plate for the out at home. Top of the 5th, New York rallies for a pair of runs. Leyritz cracks a 2-out single to center. Espinosa scores. Yankees lead 2-1 after 4.5. The home half of the inning, Pascual Perez hangs the slider. Luis Rivera says, "Thank you very much." It's gone over the monster. 2-run shot. Boston back out in front 3-2. Top of the 6th inning, score tied at 3 now. The Yanks go for the double steal. Runner going to second. The throw goes to second. Kevin Moss comes home. Moss beats the throw. 4-3 New York. Bottom of the 8th inning, the Sox tied the score. Then with Jody Reed at third, the pitch gets away from Matt Noakes. Reed scores. The Sox lead 5-4. Jeff Reardon comes in to shut the door. Wrong. Gone. Roberto Kelly, solo home run. Ties the game at 5. Then in the 10th inning, New York loads the bases up off of Matt Young. Dan Petrie comes into the game. Then with 1 out, Bernie Williams singles into right. 1 run scores. Another run scores. The Yankees up by a score of 7-5. Boston would do nothing in the bottom of the 10th inning, and New York hangs on to beat the Red Sox by a score of 7-5. Home runs Kelly for the Yankees. For the Red Sox, it was Rivera, his 8th of the season. Meanwhile, Tigers hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. Tigers on a 6-game losing streak, which means the American League East standings now look like this. The Blue Jays pick up a game, and the Red Sox pad their lead to 1.5 games. Detroit all but out. You hate to say all but out because last time we said this, the Red Sox were 11.5 back. The Jays' magic number is now down to 12. Other scores to show you. It was Minnesota over the Texas Rangers 9-4. Dean Palmer's 13th homer of the season. Lance Parrish with a home run for the Angels and a 4-2 win over the White Sox. The Twins' magic number now over the White Sox is down to 5. It was KC over Seattle 2-1. Pete O'Brien a solo shot for the Mariners. And it was Cleveland over Baltimore by a score of 2-1. No home runs in that game. You know, it's tough to keep track of who's in first in the National League West because the lead has changed hands so many times recently. Darryl Strawberry, the Dodgers, the current occupants of the penthouse in the West, just a half game better than the Braves and feeling pretty loose in the dugout as they face the trailing Braves on Sunday afternoon. Tom Glavine on the hill for Atlanta. He has struggled lately. You know, he's got an ERA of over 4.5 in his last 4 starts. Bottom of the first, man aboard for Darryl Strawberry. Pulls a shot down the right field line. It's fair. Mike Sharperson scores. Strawberry is in with a stand-up triple, and the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead. Next batter is Eddie Murray, and Eddie Murray turns on this pitch, sends it into shallow left field. The straw man scores easily, and it's 2-0 L.A. Ramon Martinez on the mound. He struggled recently, but does quite well in this game. K's Terry Pendleton. Still 2-0 L.A. Not only was Martinez good on the mound on this day, he was good at the plate. Ramon Martinez, his first Major League home run, a solo blast, gives L.A. a 3-0 lead after 4 complete, and that was it. No more scoring the rest of the way. L.A. over Atlanta 3-0. Martinez, the only home run of the game, his first of the season. He also allowed just 2 hits and struck out 8 in 7 innings of work. So the National League West standings now look like this. Atlanta, 1.5 games back. They do have a game in hand over the L.A. Dodgers. Other scores tell you about doubleheader at Wrigley. Montreal, winner in game number 1, 6-2, and they swept it. 5-3 to score in the second game. Martinez with a pair of home runs. Delano DeShields for the Expos. Also for the Cubs, it was Villanueva and Mark Grace. Mel Rojas got the save. The Mets hosting the Cards. They were 2-1 losers. Darryl Boston, his second home run of the season. A solo shot. Lee Smith the save. Mark Portugal got a save. His first of the season, a 4-1 Houston win over Cincinnati. And Craig Lefferts, his 22nd save of the season. 6-3 Padres over the Giants. Darren Jackson and Tim Tuffle home runs for San Diego. Well, the Pirates' magic number down to 1. Simply stated, a Pittsburgh win or St. Louis loss anytime between now and the end of the season, the Bucks clinch the National League East. So, you know, it was just a matter of time. Sunday afternoon would be a nice time for Pittsburgh to do it, since it was their last home game for a while. Love to clinch at home. Pirates leading, Phils 2-1. Top of the 9th innings when we pick up the highlights. Doug Drabeck facing Charlie Hayes. Charlie Hayes representing the final out.
2-2. Pittsburgh Pirates are the National League Eastern Division champions for the 2nd year in a row.
And the Pirates are the first team to win the National League East in back-to-back years since the Phillies did it in 1977 and 1978. And they're just thrilled about doing it at home.
I'll be having a fling with a pretty young thing till early morning.
It's a nice day, you know. Everyone, it's nice to do it here. I think they really wanted to see it. We had such a great turnout last year at the airport, and to be able to do it at home, it was really nice.
This is just great, man. This is, you know, it's still undone, though, but this is a good feeling.
There's more to be done, and you know, if we can stay focused and realize that, you know, yeah, it's nice we won this thing again, but we want more headlines than the Penguins got some way, and we're going to try to figure out a way to do it.
Knowing tomorrow I'll wake up with you on my mind. Okay, let's
Jim Leland, of course, will be appearing in Las Vegas during the off-season. Time now for a quick break on Sportsdesk, but still to come.
Coming up on Sports Desk, not a proud outing for pitchers in Game 1 between the Jays and Angels. Meet the proud new owner of the Calgary Stampeders. And the Hockey Hall of Fame inducts 6 proud new members.
Sportsdesk, brought to you by Chevy Truck.
Welcome to Sports Desk, everyone. I'm Chris Hedens. Also coming up in the next half hour, Monday Night Football featuring the Jets against the Bears. Michael Jordan receives a special honor and our always popular TSN Plays of the Week. But first, the battle for top spot in the American League East Division. The Toronto Blue Jays opening a 3-game series against the worst team in the American League West, the California Angels. Yes, the Angels are last in their division, but that's a little bit deceiving. They're 14 games off the pace, but are still 1 game over 500. And despite a disappointing season, the Angels still possess one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. On the hill Monday night, lefty Chuck Finley chasing his 18th win of the season, and he was up against Tom Candiotti for the Blue Jays, who got rocked in the first inning. Bases loaded, 2 out. Max Venable pulls one to right field. Stevens, Winfield, Gary Gaetti all come in to score on the 3-run triple, 3-0 Halos. Still in the first, Ron Tingley drives one deep to center field. Past Devon White. 5-0 is the score. Game is far from over. Top of the second, Candy Maldonado gets the Jays on the board by belting the 2-run home run to left field. Toronto trails 7-2.
There goes Carter.
Maldonado came up again in the third, and this time he pulls one inside the bag at third. Roberto Alomar comes in to score. Joe Carter scores. Toronto's within 3, down 7-4. Angels led 9-4 after 3, but Kelly Gruber belts a 2-run home run over the wall in left field, his 20th home run of the season. Jays within 1, down 9-8. 9th inning, Jays down 10-9. Dave Parker hits one to left center field, tries to stretch it out into a double, but he is called out at second base. Close call, bad call. Jays lose it. 10-9 was the final score in Anaheim. Maldonado and Gruber with the home runs. The save going to Brian Harvey, his 43rd. We'll also tell you Tom Henke is out until at least Friday. He received a cortisone shot on Monday for the tendonitis in his pitching shoulder. Game 2 of this series coming up live on TSN Tuesday night. Conn Stottlemyre against Jim Abbott. You can catch this game. It's a late start, 10:30 Eastern time from Anaheim. Now on to Baltimore. Red Sox versus the Orioles. And a look at Billy Ripken. He did not get to this ball, but Baltimore is still playing hard. Top of the first inning, it's 1-0 Bo Sox, and Jack Clark rips a double into the gap. Phil Plantier comes in to score, and with that, the Red Sox go in front 2-0. Boston playing well early on in this one. Here, Cal Ripken is robbed by his defensive counterpart, Luis Rivera. Nice play to get Ripken at first base. All of a sudden, a black cat runs across the field, and would that affect the Red Sox? We'll find out. Runners bottom of the second, 2-1 Baltimore down. Billy Ripken cracks a base hit. Randy Milligan comes in to score, and with that, the game is now tied at 2. Now, later in the second, Mike Devereaux hits a grounder to Luis Rivera. He will boot it. Can he make the play in time? No. Chris Hoyle scores, and it's 3-2 Orioles in front. Now on to the 4th inning, game time at 3. Mike Devereaux with the base hit. Leo Gomez comes home to score in the play. 4-3 Baltimore in front, and they would not look back from there. 8th inning, Mo Vaughn makes a great play down the line, getting Leo Gomez for the out. Watches his foot goes up, kicks the fan right in the midsection. Ouch! Next time he'll look for one of the cheap seats. Top of the 9th, 1 out. Greg Olson gets Mo Vaughn to hit into the 6-4-3 twin killing. And Baltimore wins it 4-3 was the final. Good news for Blue Jay fans. With that victory, Greg Olson gets his 30th save of the season for the Orioles. And with the Blue Jays and the Red Sox losing, Toronto is still a game and a half up in the American League East Division. The magic number is at 11. And a coin toss was held on Monday afternoon with the winner getting home field advantage if it turns out that a 1-game playoff is needed in the American League East Division. Red Sox won the toss, so if a playoff is needed between the Red Sox and Blue Jays, it'll be played October 7th at Fenway Park in Boston. Well, just a few weeks ago, the Detroit Tigers were a big part of the American League East Division race, but with 6 straight losses, the Tigers' pennant hopes are now but a distant memory. Monday night, they opened a series against the worst team in baseball, the Cleveland Indians. The Tigers sending veteran Bill Gullickson to the mound, looking for his 19th win of the season, and things look good for him early on. Here he gets Carlos Baerga swinging, no score through 4. Gullickson got some help from his defense. Watch the range by Lou Whitaker at second, going to first. Yes. Great play. Tigers get on the board in the 6th. Lou Whitaker singles to shallow right. Scott Livingston tries to score, and yes, Livingston will score. And it's 1-0 Detroit in front. Now, top of the 8th, 2-1 Detroit in front. Their defense still impressive, even from a man you wouldn't expect it from. Yes, Cecil Fielder goes down, makes the play, gets the runner at first. Good effort by the big guy. Tigers held on to win this game. 2-1 was the final score in Detroit. Mike Henneman with his 20th save. We'll also tell you that Bill Gullickson won his 19th game despite ranking worst in the American League in hits allowed, worst in the American League in doubles allowed, and worst in the American League in opponents' batting average. New York downing Milwaukee 9-8. Noakes with a grand slam. Molitor and McIntosh with home runs for Milwaukee. Steve Farr with his 40th save. Oakland edging Kansas City 7-6. Dennis Eckersley with his 41st save. Rangers and the Mariners, neither of these teams will have any chance of catching Minnesota for top spot in the American League West. American League batting leader Julio Franco sat out this game for Texas with a migraine headache. So the American League West Division standings we will get to in a moment. The magic number for the Minnesota Twins to clinch the American League West is down to 5 games. Any combination of Minnesota wins and Chicago losses adding up to 5 will give the Twins their second West Division title in 5 years. Both the Twins and the White Sox had Monday night off. They will open the 2-game mini-series at the Metrodome on Tuesday night. And here's a quick look at those West Division standings I was about to tell you about. Twins' magic number is down to 5, 8 games up on the White Sox. Minnesota riding a 3-game win streak, while the White Sox have lost 2 straight. Okay, time for a quick break on Sports Desk. Still to come, good news for the CFL's Calgary Stampeders. After a long wait, they finally have new ownership. We'll tell you about the details. The new owner, his name is Larry Rickman. We'll meet him when we come back. In NFL Monday Night Football, the Jets against the Bears at Soldier Field. Highlights and much more when Sports Desk returns.
Big boys love their toys. That's why there's the Chevy half-ton short box extended cab. More room than Ford for the boys. More payload for the toys. And big boys can still put their toys away at night.
Today's truck is Chevrolet.
This is Jay. Jay doesn't say much when he's enjoying his McCain Super Fries. And he doesn't seem to care that Super Fries are cholesterol-free and low in saturated fats. McCain Super Fries, deep-fried flavor and crispness from your oven. For the strong, silent type.
The race for top spot in the National League West Division took a well-deserved day off on Monday. Tuesday night, the Braves will open a series against Cincinnati, while the Dodgers move on to San Diego. Here is what the West Division race looks like right now. The Dodgers winning 2 of 3 against the Braves over the weekend, giving them a 1.5-game lead in the West. L.A. has 11 games left in its schedule. Atlanta has 12. Neon Deion Sanders says if the Atlanta Braves want him for the final week of the baseball season, they should ask him and not the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons head coach Jerry Glanville was asked at his weekly news conference this week about the possibility of loaning Sanders to the Braves for that final week. His answer, and I quote, "I would not allow that unless they allow me to be the third base coach." Don't count on that one. Still with baseball, the Montreal Expos are in the middle of what will go down as the longest road trip in Major League history. The Expos face the St. Louis Cardinals in a doubleheader at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Bottom of the first, bases are loaded for Pedro Guerrero. He hits a fly ball to right field. It goes off the glove of the Canadian Larry Walker. Ray Langford and Ozzie Smith come into count, and the Cardinals are up 2-0. Bottom of the fourth, 3-0 Cards. Bases are loaded for Todd Zeal. He hits a shot deep to center field. Marquise Grissom can't make the play. It will clear the bases. And with that, the Cardinals up 6-0. Bottom of the fifth inning now, an 8-0 Cardinals putting this game away. Ozzie Smith takes Steve Fry deep to left field. Missed this one goodbye. 2-run shot for Ozzie Smith. Cardinals up 10-0 at that point. Montreal would add 1 run, but to no avail. 10-1 was the final score. Ozzie Smith with his 3rd home run of the season. Jeff Lucero picked up his 9th save as Montreal won the 2nd game of this series. 5-1 was the final in Game 2. Elsewhere, John Kruk and Luis Salazar with the home runs. Chicago downing Philadelphia 10-3. Kurt Schilling picking up his 8th save as Houston down San Francisco 8-0. The for sale sign has been up for quite a while.
Real TV, TSN.
Today on Sports Desk, what a change a day makes. Stottlemyre and Abbott in an old-fashioned pitching duel. Deion Sanders makes a change from the gridiron to the ball diamond. And Scott Stevens has a change of heart about the Devils. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Gino Reda. Nice to have you here. Also ahead, the White Sox and the Twins go head-to-head. A profile on the Buffalo Bills' Thurman Thomas, and we'll visit with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. But first, the ongoing saga in the American League East. And you know, when you think about it, the Red Sox have to be kicking themselves right now. The Jays have only won 2 of their last 8 games, but Boston still hasn't been able to get by them. If Toronto can hang on until this weekend, they may be able to hold on to first the rest of the way, because Boston will face Milwaukee, Detroit, and Milwaukee again to finish off the year. Tough finish, but the Jays, tough Tuesday night, facing Jim Abbott and the Angels. Abbott 10-2 in his last 12 starts. Strange play in the second. Pat Borders hits the grounder to first. Ball goes off Lee Stevens' glove. Gary DeSarcina comes back to back it up, and Borders retired 3-4-1. Top of the third. Roberto Alomar hits a ground ball to right. DeSarcina again comes into the hole to make the play on to first to retire Alomar. Abbott just giving up 1 hit through 5. Here he gets Pat Borders swinging. Game remains scoreless. Todd Stottlemyre pitching just as effectively. He scatters 3 hits through 6 innings. Here he gets Lance Parrish looking. A nice battle of the pitchers right now. Top of the 8th, Abbott is just on fire. He strikes out Pat Tabler. Then he gets Pat Borders. And then he gets Manny Lee looking for his 10th strikeout of the game. That's a career high. He strikes out 5 in a row as well. Bottom of the inning, Luis Polonia on first. Gene Tennis goes to the bullpen for David Wells. He picks off Polonia at first, ending any possible Angel sweat. Top of the ninth, Joe Carter on second base in scoring position. Kelly Gruber at the plate. Hits a slow grounder to second, ending the inning and the scoring opportunity. Extra innings we go. Still no score in the game. Pat Borders spoils Abbott's brilliant work. He takes Abbott down the left field line just inside the foul pole. A 3-run shot, and the Jays upset Abbott by defeating him by a score of 3-0 in 10 innings. Strong work there by Jim Abbott. He still takes the loss, though. It still goes down as an L in the column. Pat Borders, the home run, his 4th of the season. The Boston Red Sox, rain problem. This game was postponed. It will be made up as a doubleheader on Wednesday. The matchups will look like this. In game number 1, it'll be Clemens against Johnson. Game number 2, Tom Bolton against Milwaukee. Incidentally, Boston reliever Jeff Reardon is suffering from a stiff neck and says he may miss Wednesday's game. But the Red Sox still feel good about their chances in game number 1 with Rocket Roger on the mound.
Every time Roger takes the mound, we think we're going to win. And every time we put our uniforms on, we feel like we have a good chance of winning. But when Roger's out there pitching, maybe we put a little extra pressure on him because he's so good. But at the same time, it gives us a great feeling of feeling like we're going to have a great chance of winning a ball game.
Probably the toughest pitcher in this league, and you know, he throws the ball real well and is in command. And when he gets high, you know, I don't think anybody can touch him. And we got a lot of confidence in him going out there tomorrow and get us that first win.
The American League East standings now. The Blue Jays now pick up a half game on the Boston Red Sox, who are idle because of the rain postponed game. Boston is 2 games back. The Blue Jays' magic number drops down to 10. Now to Tiger Stadium, Cleveland versus Detroit. Pick it up in the bottom of the first inning. 2-1 Tigers leading. Travis Fryman lashes a double down the left field line. It's fair. Mickey Tettleton scores. Lloyd Mosby will also try to score. Here comes the relay to the plate, and it is not in time. Mosby with a good slide. 4-1 Detroit after 1. Why are the Cleveland Indians in last place? Take a look. Scott Aldrich throws a wild pitch. Luis Lopez goes to first from third. He's thrown up by Tettleton. Why take the extra bases when you're down by 3? Bottom of the 5th, Detroit puts the game away. Mickey Tettleton with a man on. Hits a mammoth 2-run shot to right. 28th of the season, 6-1 Tigers. They go on to beat Cleveland by a score of 7-2. Easy going for the Tigers. A couple of home runs. Mickey Tettleton is 28. Albert Bell is 28th of the season as well. Key mini-series for the White Sox in Minnesota. Only 2 games. But when you're playing the team you're chasing, you have to win them all. Especially since Chicago heads into the series 8 games back. The Sox looking to exploit Scott Erickson, who hasn't pitched well against the Sox this season. Erickson is only 0-1 with an ERA of nearly 10 against Chicago in 1991. But he was on his game on this night. Facing Bo Jackson early on, gone on strikes. Jack McDowell, his mound opponent, was not so lucky. Bottom of the second, 2-0 Twins. Chuck Knobloch singles the left side. Greg Gagnon comes in to score, and the Twins take a 3-0 lead. Still on the second, Minnesota 4-0. Ken Herbeck will crush this Jack McDowell offering over the wall in right field. A 2-run monster shot. Minnesota leads 6-0. Now to the top of the 7th inning, 7-0 Twins. Scott Erickson working on the no-hitter. It's gone. Dan Pasqua takes Erickson the opposite way, clears the wall, a 2-run shot, 7-2 Twins. They add a couple of more runs, and Minnesota goes on to beat Chicago in a key game by a score of 9-2 home runs. Pasqua is 16th, the only one of the season. Twins Rookie of the Year candidate Chuck Knoplock extends his hitting streak to 19 games. So the American League West standings now look like this. Minnesota adds another game to their lead. They now lead Chicago by 9 games. The Twins' magic number is down to 3. Some more scores to tell you about. It was Kansas City over Oakland by a final score of 5-4. Danny Tartabull is 30th home run of the season. Ernest Wiles is 5th of the season for the A's. Steve Montgomery is 31st save. Texas at Seattle, 8-7 the final score. Julio Franco and Rafael Palmeiro with home runs for the Rangers. And it was Milwaukee over New York by a score of 5-4. Kevin Moss, the only home run of the game, his 25th of the season, a losing toss for the Yankees. Doug Henry gets his 11th save of the season. Time for break, but still to come on Sports Desk, we'll profile the man temporarily in the driver's seat for the Blue Jays. Whether you like the job he's done with the team or not, it's tough not to respect the credentials he takes to the table. A look at this man's background when we come back. And we'll also recap the night's action in the National League, where the LA Dodgers are trying to build on their lead in the West.
Can your motor oil take the heat? When today's engines reach high running temperatures, motor oil can thin out, break down, and leave engine surfaces unprotected. It's not easy to take the heat, but Castrol XLR has been engineered to maintain a lubricating film, even at extreme engine temperatures. At Castrol, we believe if you can't take the heat, get out of the engine.
One guy playing 2 pro sports is pretty hard to imagine, but to play 2 sports simultaneously is incredible. But it's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. Neon Deion Sanders will play baseball with the Braves for the stretch drive, but has every intention of playing football with the Falcons this weekend against the New Orleans Saints. Sanders got reacquainted with his baseball teammates on Tuesday afternoon, and then after that, he met with the media.
My face lit up like a Christmas tree when I seen them and them accepting me back, you know. That's a big thrill to me. Nothing's going to change on the football side of it. You know, I'm just here to help these guys out as much as possible. You know, when they need a pinch runner in on late innings or whatever they need, I'm there for it. If they need me to run out there and pick up a bat, I'm there for it. Nothing's going to change from the football standpoint of it. I'll be there for practice, I'll be there for meetings, and I'll be there for the game. But what I do on my own time is my time. I had really packed my baseball bag away till next spring, and I had to go wake it up and kick some dust off it down there and get it back ready.
He was ready to play, but the rain canceled things, so Neon Deion will have to wait. There'll be a doubleheader on Wednesday to make up for this game. John Schmaltz will face Jack Armstrong in the opener. Steve Avery will face Randy Myers. Yes, Randy Myers in the nightcap. On out of Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, Tommy Lasorda and the Dodgers looking to add to their lead against the Braves. Dodgers take on the Padres top of the second. Ricky Bones throws one into the dirt. It gets by Benito Santiago. Eddie Murray comes in to score. Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. Top of the 4th, Dodgers leading 2-0. Brett Butler doubles to the gap in left center field. The ball goes all the way to the wall. Mike Morgan chugs around third, and look at the grimace on his face. He does score and gives the Dodgers a 3-0 lead. Home half of the 6th, Thomas Howard singles to center. Tim Tuffle was on second, rounds third. He'll score. Padres trail 3-1. Top of the 7th inning, Mike Scioscia. Fly ball to left field. Biff Roberts charges, tracks it down, and then ends up in the bullpen. But there he is. He's still okay. In the end, it's the Dodgers over the Padres by a final score of 5-2. Roger McCall got to save his 9th of the season. So the National League West standings look like this. Atlanta with a night off lose a half game to the LA Dodgers. With the victory, the Dodgers' magic number goes down to 10. Pirates working overtime to re-sign Bobby Bonilla before the end of the season when he becomes a free agent. Rumors have been flying for a while now that he has already agreed to a deal with the New York Yankees. New York denies the rumors, but Pittsburgh would love to lock him up just in case. The Bucks at Shea Stadium on Tuesday night. Bottom of the fourth, Pirates leading 3-1. Howard Johnson takes Bob Watt deep to right field. It's a two-run shot. His 37th of the season. It's a new National League record for home runs by a switch hitter. He had the old record as well, though. Tied at 3 at that point. Bottom of the fifth, 6-3 Pirates. Bases loaded for Darryl Boston. Grand slam. Mets jump out in front, 7-6. Top of the seventh, 8-7 Pirates. Cecil Espy hits into a fielder's choice. Orlando Merced comes in to score on the play. The Pirates led 9-7, and they hang on to defeat the Mets by a final score of 10-8. Home runs, Darryl Boston and Howard Johnson. Hojo also sets the team record with 110 RBIs, surpassing Darryl Strawberry's old mark of 108. The Strawman did that last season. Rosario Rodriguez got to save his 5th of the season. Out of Montreal, Ed St. Louis picked this game up. Top of the first, already 1-0 Expos. Larry Walker double to the wall. Brett Barbary will come in to score. Walker is in with a stand-up double. The Montreal Expos lead 2-0. Bottom of the second, St. Louis evens the score. Gilberto Reyes throw to second, trying to pick off Todd Zeal, goes into center field. Ray Langford was on third, he scores easily. And then Todd Zeal heads to third. Marquise Grissom's throw goes into the dugout. Zeal scores, game tied at 2. Now to the bottom of the 6th, score tied at 3. Gerald Perry hits into a fielder's choice. Expos cannot turn the double play. Felix Jose scores, what turns out to be the game's winning run. The Expos cannot come back from the 4-3 deficit. Lee Smith gets to save his 43rd of the season. Elsewhere, with Philadelphia over Chicago by a score of 4-2, Mitch Williams, the save. Garrett May, the home run in this game. On to the Astrodome now. Houston hosting the Giants. Matt Williams at the plate in the 5th. He hit a home run in his last at-bat. And Brian Williams, the rookie pitcher, just beans him in the back of the helmet. Not much doubt about that. He charges the mound. Craig Biggio tackles Matt Williams. The scuffle breaks out. No punches really thrown. There's another look at it. Just an ugly shot. Boy, the rookie really taking liberties in the majors. He better be careful. He is playing in the National League. Matt Williams got the only home run of the game, his 31st of the season, and then he got a swollen head. August 21st, batting coach Gene TSN.
Today on Sportsdesk, the Jays wrap up their Western swing in impressive fashion. Primetime is working overtime for the Atlanta Braves. And the San Jose Sharks, the start of a new California rivalry.
Sportsdesk is brought to you by Suzuki, makers of Swift, Samurai, and Sidekick. If it's Suzuki, it's all right.
Welcome to Sports Desk, everyone. I'm Chris Seaton. Also coming up in the next half hour, the Rangers and Blackhawks swing a deal, and goalie Sean Burke waits on his future. But first, the Blue Jays bid farewell to the West Coast. The Jays wrapping up a 3-game series against the California Angels in a 9-game road trip that included stops in Seattle, Oakland, and Anaheim. Great pitching matchup on Wednesday afternoon. A battle of left-handers. Mark Langston on the hill for the Angels. Jimmy Key getting the start for the Jays. And a great day for Blue Jays general manager Pat Gillick inking his team's top draft pick, outfielder Sean Green. That's him in the bottom right of your screen. Top of the first, Toronto opens the scoring. Joe Carter with a bloop single to right. That'll score Devon White. And it's 1-0 Toronto in front. White scores easily. Bottom of the second, game tied at 1. Joe Carter, watch him as he goes back on this fly ball from Gary Gaetti. He lands in his glove, then drops out of his glove right in the palm. That often happens when you hit the palm of the glove. 2-1 Angels in front. Top of the 5th now. Great inning for the Jays. Robbie Alomar with 2 men on. Doubles down the left field line. Mookie Wilson, Devon White will both come in to score. White just beating the throw. 3-2 Jays in front. Next batter is Joe Carter, and he makes up for his error from earlier in the game. Another single. Alomar scores. That's Carter's 106th RBI of the year. 4-2 Toronto. Then the big blow. 2 men on for Big John Olerud. And he sits on this 2-0 fastball, drills a 3-run shot to right field. 7-2 Blue Jays after 5 complete. Jays hold on to win this game. 7-2 the final. Olerud with his 17th home run of the season. So here is what the Jays did on their 9-game Western road trip. They went 1 game under 500. with just 9 games left now in the regular season. Mother Nature stepped in on the Boston Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles on Tuesday night, forcing the Sox and the Birds to play a double dip on Wednesday. Check that. They were supposed to play a doubleheader. Unfortunately, the rain in Baltimore did not let up. The hope is it will let up by Thursday. The Red Sox and Orioles were both scheduled to have Thursday off, but they will now try and make up these games on Thursday. The pitching matchup, a couple dandies here. Clemens against Johnson, Hesketh against Malachy. Joe Morgan has to be happy with his pitching matchup for this.
You never know. Right now we'll have Hesketh and Clemens tomorrow. 2 best starters going in that doubleheader, even though it is hard to win a doubleheader. Reardon could be available tomorrow. He wasn't tonight. So Burks might even be ready the way he's coming on now. So hopefully the sun will be out.
We want to get out and play, and we keep getting hampered by the weather. And but really, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you don't want anybody injured at this point in time, and it's really sloppy out there.
So here's a look at the East Division standings. Of course, Toronto with their win, now 2.5 up. Their magic number drops to 9. Of course, Boston could not play at all on Wednesday. They'll play a double dip, as we mentioned, against Baltimore on Thursday. Cleveland downing Detroit 6-4. Steve Olin came in for the save for the Indians. The race in the American League West Division is getting down to the nitty-gritty now. The Twins up on the White Sox by 9 games. Their magic number drops to 3. These teams met Wednesday night at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. A Minnesota win would put them within 1 game of clinching the West Division title. The White Sox open the scoring in this game. In the second inning, Mike Huff pulls one into the left field corner. Lance Johnson will come in to score, and Chicago is up 1-0. The Sox led 2-1 after 4. Then in the 5th, Tim Raines, the former Montreal Expo, pulls one deep to right field, and off the baggies at the Metrodome, Johnson scores again. Raines is safe at second, 3-1. White Sox in front. Still in the 5th, Frank Thomas rips one under the glove of Chuck Knobloch. Raines scores 6-1 Sox after 5. They hang on to win this game. The final score was 6-1. Twins rookie Chuck Knobloch extending his hitting streak to 20 games. He should be a shoo-in for American League Rookie of the Year this season. American League West standings now. Minnesota with the loss, Chicago with the win. Minnesota up by 8 games. The Twins' magic number stays at 3. Elsewhere in the American League, it was Oakland over Kansas City, 8-4. Tarnable, Henderson, and Gallego with the home runs. Gallego's 11th home run matches his career total prior to this season. Dennis Eckersley with his 42nd save. Texas with home runs from Kevin Reimer and Ruben Sierra, downing Seattle 7-1. Roberto Kelly with his 18th home run for New York in a winning cause. Greg Vaughn with his 25th for the Brewers. Okay, now you're up to date on the American League story. Stay with us. Still to come on Sports Desk, we will jump to the complete National League story from Wednesday, including the Dodgers against the Padres at Jack Murphy Stadium. The Dodgers trying to keep their hold on top spot in the National League West Division. And Neon, Deion Sanders has rejoined the Atlanta Braves. We'll check in on prime time when Sports Desk returns.
Do you remember those wonderful pies that Mom used to bake?
Oh, do I?
You remember, with the fruit on top?
Right. She always had so much filling, she couldn't fit it all inside the pie.
Yeah. You know, that's the way Tim Hortons bakes them.
Really?
Yep. Now they've got this great deal where you can get a slice of Tim Hortons pie and a coffee for $1.49.
Sounds scrumptious.
You bet.
Hi, Mom. How's the pie?
Always got time for Tim Hortons.
A beautiful night for a baseball game as the Dodgers and the Padres met at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego on Wednesday night. The Dodgers trying to keep their lead in the National League West Division at 2 games over the Atlanta Braves and trying to extend their latest win streak to 4 games. Let's head now to Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. Pick it up bottom of the first. Dodgers already up 1-0. Fred McGriff It's a double play ball with the bases loaded, but Lanny Harris makes the throwing error going to first. Biff Roberts and Darren Jackson score. Now top of the fourth, still 2-1 San Diego. Mike Scioscia, fly ball to left center. Darren Jackson makes a great effort, can't quite get to the ball. Scioscia winds up with a triple. Then Mike Sharpers with the fly ball to right. Gerald Clark will settle under it. Scioscia comes in to score, but Benito San Diego with a great job behind the plate to get the runner. 2-1 Padres. Bottom of the fourth now. San Diego adds to their lead. Former Blue Jay, big Freddie McGriff, belts a solo shot to right field. The Padres led 3-1 at that point. Benito Santiago blew this game open in the bottom of the seventh, hitting a 3-run homer, making it 8-1 Padres. 8-2 is the final. Sharperson and McGriff with the home runs. Just 9 days after Otis Nixon was suspended for failing a drug test, there was more bad news for the Atlanta Braves on Wednesday. Rookies Brian Hunter and Keith Mitchell have been arrested for drunk driving in 2 separate incidents. Mitchell faces the worst. He faces 3 separate charges, including driving while impaired, driving with a suspended driver's license, and hitting highway median. Meanwhile, the Braves played a doubleheader against the Cincinnati Reds on Wednesday, a wet day at Fulton County Stadium. Deion Sanders played in this game. We'll get to him in a moment, but first, Sanders of another name, Reggie Sanders, the rookie. Great diving catch, ending a Braves threat. Jack Armstrong on the hill for Cincinnati looks good. Down goes Jeff Blauser. Bottom of the fifth now, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati. Lonnie Smith, solo shot to left field, his 7th of the year. Not very good defensively, but still swings a mean bat. Game tied at 1. More great defense in this game. Ron Gant with the diving catch. Solid defense for the Braves. Bottom of the 9th. Game still tied. Deion Sanders into pinch run, gets a standing ovation from the crowd, steals second base, but he was left stranded. Bottom of the 10th now, and Atlanta wins it. Ron Gant with a clutch base hit. Terry Pendleton comes in to score the game-winning run. The Braves win it. 2-1 was the final. Lonnie Smith leading the way with his 7th home run of the season. Now back to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Game 2 of this series. Top of the 3rd inning, we're going to go 3-2 Braves. A man on for Chris Sabo. And Sabo drills a 2-run shot to left field. This is his 25th home run of the season. And with that one swing of the bat, it's 4-3 Reds in front. But the Braves will fight right back, scoring 4 times in the 4th inning, capped by this Ron Gant shot. And just like that, Atlanta takes the lead 7-4. Top of the 6th inning now, and 2 men on for Joe Oliver. Oliver drills a blast to left field. This one is gone deep into the Atlanta night. Game tied at 7 at that point. Top of the 10th inning, it's 8-7 Reds. Billy Hatcher knocks in 2 more runs with the triple to left field. Billy Dorn and Reggie Sanders will come in to score on the plate. 10-7 Cincinnati with that shot. They hang on to win this game. 10-9 was the final score. Atlanta with a good job coming back in this one to no avail, though. Sabo and Oliver with home runs for Cincinnati. Gant with his 31st for Atlanta. Rob Dibble with his 31st save. So the National League West Division standings look like this now. Atlanta a game and a half back. The Dodgers losing their game. Atlanta with a win and a loss. So the Braves, the Dodgers able to pick up a half game. Braves pick up a half game. Dodgers' magic number drops to 9 games in the National League West. The Montreal Expos are finishing the rest of the season on the road because Olympic Stadium is currently deemed unfit to use after a 55-ton cement slab fell from its exterior about 2 weeks ago. Expos President Claude Brochu announced on Wednesday that if the National League doesn't receive a guarantee in the next few weeks that Olympic Stadium is safe to play in, there will be no baseball in Montreal next year. The Expos are shopping for a new director of scouting today. Gary Hughes has left Montreal to join the expansion Florida Marlins. Hughes will join former Expos general manager Dave Dombrowski, who quit last week to become the Marlins' first general manager. The Expos were in action this evening. They took on the St. Louis Cardinals. Real Cormier getting the start for St. Louis. Montreal winning this game 7-2. Barnes gets the win. Cormier takes the loss. Some rain in the New York area. This will be made up as part of a doubleheader on Thursday at Shea. Philadelphia downing Chicago 5-4. John Kruk with a pair of home runs, including a grand slam. Dawson, Wilkins, and Villanueva with home runs for Chicago. Mitch Williams with the save. San Francisco downing Houston 2-1. Jeff Brantley came in for his 13th save. For the first...
Today on Sports Desk, the Braves are starting to feel the heat as they try to gain on the Dodgers. Manager Joe Morgan stirs the second-guessers as his Red Sox try to gain on the Blue Jays. And the Rough Riders hope off-field problems don't interfere with on-field performances.
Everyone, and welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Teresa Herger. Also ahead on the show, well, it's official. The Calgary Stampeders have a new owner. We'll hear what he has to say later on in the show. And we'll talk to boxer Lennox Lewis as he gets ready to put his British and Commonwealth titles on the line on Monday. But first, we'll take you to the major leagues. The Atlanta Braves had a chance to gain some ground in the hotly contested NL West race Thursday night. The Los Angeles Dodgers had the night off, and the Braves had a chance to cut the lead to 1 as they wrapped up a series with Cincinnati. Lou Pinella's Reds just playing out the string, but his club is still hustling. This is Joe Oliver, tries to track down a foul pop, almost runs his face into the wall, but he was okay. No score through 3 innings. Top of the 4th, Carmelo Martinez drives one to left center with 2 Reds aboard. Barry Larkin, Eric Davis will both come in to score, and Cincinnati goes up 2-0. Well, it stayed that way until the 6th when the Reds rallied for 4 more runs. Oliver dumps a single to center. Davis, Paul O'Neill will both score on the play. The Reds led 6-0 after 6. So a rough night at the plate for the Braves. Ron Gant, he batted 4 times, stranded 2 base runners in each at bat, 8 in all, and he fanned there to end the 7th as Cincinnati shut out the Braves by a score of 8-0. Atlanta with a chance to gain some ground, but they didn't do it. Reggie Sanders, that was his first homer of the year for the Reds. So let's check in on those NL West standings. With 9 games remaining, Atlanta remains 2 games back. And on the weekend, Atlanta will begin a weekend series in Houston, and the Dodgers will host the Giants. The Montreal Expos had the day off. They're on their way to Pittsburgh. This series was supposed to be played in Montreal, but with the Big O falling apart, the remaining games have had to be rescheduled. Pirates were in New York to take on the Mets in a doubleheader, and even though Pittsburgh has clinched the NL East, they're still on a roll. They have won 8 of their last 10 games, but could they be getting bored? Nice sandcastles, Andy. Pick of the action, bottom of the 7th, 2-0 Bucks. Gary Templeton takes this Randy Tomlin pitch for a ride. Templeton's got a ground rule double. Mark Carrion will score, and the Mets close to 2-1. Moving now to the top of the 14th inning. Game tied up at 2, and Lloyd McClendon hits a chopper. Gary Reedus will score as McClendon gets an infield single, and it was 3-2 Pirates. Bottom of the 14th, the Mets need a run. Todd Hundley unloads off of Bill Landrum, a home run to right as the Mets tie the game up at 3. Top of the 15th now, and the Pirates take the lead. John Slott drives one to center, and the ball drops in. Barry Bonds scores. Pittsburgh took a 4-3 lead, and that's the way it ended through 15 innings. This game took 4 hours and 20 minutes to complete, and as I mentioned, that was Todd Hundley's first Major League home run for New York, though in a losing cause. So now they had to play the second game. Well, in Game 2, New York won it 2-1. Steve Buechele hit his 21st homer of the year. That is his 3rd since he has been traded to Pittsburgh. And John Franco stepped in to pick up his 28th save of the year. 2 straight days of rain gave the Red Sox 2 days off, and that's pretty tough to take when you're in the midst of a pennant race. On Thursday, the clouds finally parted, and Boston and Baltimore got ready for a doubleheader. The Jays were idle, and this was a chance for the Red Sox to gain some ground. Going into the game, they were only 2.5 games back in the AL East, and the Sox come out swinging in the first off of Dave Johnson. Bill Plantier goes the other way, deposits this one into the left field seat. That's a solo shot, his 8th of the year, and that put Boston ahead 1-0. The next batter up, Jack Clark, and he belts the first pitch he sees. This one goes right into the left field bleachers. Back-to-back homers on back-to-back pitches for Boston, and they take a 2-0 lead in the game. Now moving to the bottom of the 5th, Roger Clemens working on a shutout. But Chris Hoyles breaks the donut, a single to right center. Tim Hewlett scores. The O's now trail 2-1 the score. But that was all that Clemens would give up in this one. Here he fans Hewlett in the 7th, just one of his 10 strikeout victims. As Clemens and the Sox take game 1, 2-1 was the score, so Boston picked up a half a game. Could they make it a full game? On to game 2, top of the 2nd in this one. And the Sox rally with bases loaded. Steve Lyons bloops a single to left. Jack Clark, Mike Greenwell will score. And Boston goes ahead 2-0. Still in the second, Tony Pena. He singles through to the left side. Here comes big Mo Vaughn lumbering in to score. Boston led 4-0 after 2. They led 5-1 in the 6th, but Cal Ripken ignites the Orioles with his 32nd home run of the year. Solo shot to the left, and the O's now trail by 3. Boston took a 5-4 lead into the bottom of the 9th, but with 2 outs, Joe Morgan lets Greg Harris pitch to Ripken, and Ripken ties the game with a single to left center. Chris Hoyle scores, and that ties the game up at 5. Harris then walked Randy Milligan to load the bases. Then he walked Dwight Evans on 4 pitchers. That forced home the winning run as Joe Morgan falls asleep at the wheel. Both Sox let Game 2 slip away. 6-5 was the final. That was Cal Ripken's 32nd homer of the year. And Todd Froworth picks up the win. 1977 was the last year that the Cleveland Indians won a season series against the Tigers. Wednesday, with a 6-4 win over Detroit, the Indians did it. Small vindication for a season that has gone so wrong. Thursday, the final game of the 4-game set. Going into this one, the Tigers were 7 games back of the first-place Jays. We'll pick it up in the first. Albert Bell hits a fly ball to center. Here comes Milt Kyler. He's charging in, but whoa, can't make the play. Carlos Baerga comes around to score. Bell ended up with a triple, and the Indians took a 1-0 lead. Now to the top of the 4th. Tigers now leading 2-1. Carlos Martinez takes Frank Donana deep into left field, a 2-run shot, and the Indians take a 3-2 lead. Home half of the inning, Rob Deere, he's at the plate, and he hits a shot deep to right field. It'll fall just inside the foul pole. Good for a 2-run shot, and the Tigers regain the lead. 4-3 is the score in the game. In the home half of the 7th. Now the Indians have got the lead. 5-4, bases loaded for Alan Trammell. He hits a grounder to third. Tony Phillips crashes into Baerga. Baerga goes down with the ball. 2 runs came in to score. And the Detroit Tigers won it by a score of 6-5. Carlos Martinez picking up his 5th homer for the Indians, and Rob Deere is 24th for Detroit. Mike Henneman picked up his 21st save. So this is how it all racks up in the American League East. Well, Boston still 2.5 games behind Toronto, and Detroit picking up a half a game. They are now at 6.5. We have one other score for you. Kevin Moss hit his 21st homer of the year for New York, but the Brewers beat them 6-2. Bill Wegman picks up the win, and he goes to 14-7 on the year. Both of last year's World Series teams have fallen on hard times this season. Cincinnati Reds are down and out in the National West, while the Oakland Athletics are just 8 games above 500. It's a tough time of the year when there's nothing to play for. Thursday, Oakland was at home to take on Texas, and Oil Can Boyd. In the first inning, Gary Pettis gets a hold of this pitch from Mike Moore. Jose Canseco moves back, tries to make the catch, and he's got it. So to the 4th inning, Kevin Reimer, he strikes out. His bat sailed into the crowd, got the fan, cut him up. We'll have more on him later. Later on in the 4th, the Athletics have got 2 on. Jose Canseco takes Oil Can deep. A 3-run homer. That's his 43rd of the year. That sets a new season high for Canseco. And Oakland goes ahead 3-0. Next inning, the A's lead 5-0 off a Ricky Henderson 2-run homer. And Dave Henderson hits a solo blast. And it was back-to-back homers by the Henderson. Ahead to his 25th, also setting a season high. That made it 6-0 A's. And the injured fan, well, they gave him some ice and he came back. But the Rangers couldn't on this night. The final 10-0. Homers for Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson, and Dave Henderson. And you know, Canseco's 43rd home run, that is his career high and ties him for the Major League lead with Cecil Fielder. Some other scores for you as Kansas City over California by a score of 3-2. Jeff Montgomery picking up his 32nd save. Jay's bullpen sure has been knocked around lately, and last week's 4 straight extra inning games did not help. Interim manager Gene Tennis has been criticized for the way that he's been handling the bullpen. With more, here is Mark Bunting.
Earlier this season, the Blue Jays bullpen was airtight, a big part of the team's league-leading ERA. Tom Henke was rolling along. Dwayne Ward pitched often and effectively, and rookie Mike Timlin was surprising people by picking up victories. But lately, the bullpen has been hampered by injury and tired arms. First and foremost, Henke has mild tendonitis and must be used cautiously.
When I didn't have this, I could go out there 3-4 days in a row, but the other day, like in Seattle, I'd pitch 2 days in a row, and they just couldn't use me because it was so sore.
Dwayne Ward has reached a career high in appearances and may be getting worn down, something most pitchers experience.
It's gotten a lot worse. The crime rate's gone up. Most of your crimes are going to be drug-related, especially since crack has come into the picture. The crime rate is just tremendous. We're undermanned, overworked, but we try to keep up, I guess. We're always busy, always busy. We're in round 2 a disturbance where there's a male supposed to be outside armed with a pipe, breaking the windows and threatening to kill the occupants. .240's out. Who's reporting?
Hey, Mr. Wall. What do you think it's going to be?
4344, go dispatch 4.
Hi, Deputy Lancaster, Sheriff's Department. What's the problem?
You can come in here and look. I've got windows busted
Okay,
out.
tell me what's going on.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Well, I can't say my husband. The father of my children.
Where is he?
He took off. He done beat all our windows in. This is his address right here. 1632 That's his mother's social security number.
Show me what's going on.
We've got a window broke out in here. We've got 2 windows broken out in here.
Broke my damn air conditioner.
Did you see him doing this?
Yes. I threw the ladder out the window. I couldn't have done it, but he threw a ladder through the bottom window.
Okay, he did this from the outside?
Yes. And the front window here.
Okay.
The front window, the top window up here.
4240 is suspect's GOA.
There's a window into the back door that he had broke.
Okay, and you did actually see him
Yes.
doing the damage, right?
I was in the bedroom, as a matter of fact, when he done this stuff.
Was he by himself tonight?
Well, for a while, yes, I was over there. But
Over where?
I was over at his house. I dropped him off. Well, I didn't drop him off. All him out and all him Westville, and my car died on me. The headlights got dim and everything, and I couldn't see him. The car died on me. And he left me there. And then I finally got him. Me and the guy that was here, so he ran him off. And pushed the car right there, that Circle K, and we got a record driver or something to jump me off. And I came straight home.
Any reason why he would do this tonight?
Yeah, he was drunk.
I mean, but other than that, I mean, is he angry at you?
Honestly?
Yeah, honestly.
He thinks I was messing around with that guy over there.
So that's probably what set him off, huh?
He always accuses me of doing...
How many children do you have together?
From us 2?
Yeah.
2.
2. Okay, if your grandfather wants to file charges, here's what you're going to have to do. Okay, go ahead and explain it to him for me. Actually, let me, is he in the living room? Let me explain it to him, okay? Sir, if you want to file charges on this guy, what you're going to need to do, here, if you don't mind, let me set this, I'll hold on to this for a second, okay? I'll give it to you as soon as I leave, okay? Here's your case number this report's going to be filed under. Okay?
Put that 9.
Yes, sir. That's 91-022-01706. If you want to file charges on this man, you and your granddaughter are going to have to go down to this address downtown to the DA's office and sign a sworn statement saying that you saw him or that your granddaughter saw him damage your... Okay.
I've seen him.
Okay, well, then you
He
can...
knocked my bathroom window out?
Yes, sir, I understand. Okay, but since he's not here, I can't place him under arrest. So you're going to have to go down and sign a sworn statement saying that you observed him do the damage to your property.
Yeah.
If he comes back tonight or any other night causing any more problems, go ahead and give us a call, okay? Okay? And then we'll try to get here as soon as possible. Okay?
Yeah.
Just leave that right there till I leave, okay?
I just...
If he comes back again tonight, if you feel it's an emergency, of course, dial 911, okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
I hope he comes in the house this time.
Well, you know, you don't want to do anything that you don't have to, especially with all these children around.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
their daddy.
Well, I agree with you. Okay, thank you. 4240, I've got shots fired.
Okay. How many units?
4240, I've got shots fired here. Send me another unit.
5618 Abilene, 5618 Abilene.
Please, don't move! Please! Stop! Sheriff's Department, don't move! Don't move, please! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Now! Hands on back of the head! Don't move!
Never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a feeling that's so hard to bear. You give me fever. When you kiss me,
Clary, a more personal approach to makeup, with colors and formulas personalized to you. What makes you different can make you beautiful.
You are watching history unfold. The government of Canada has presented proposals for constitutional reform to Parliament. These proposals are now being studied by a special joint parliamentary committee. We invite you to take part in the process. It's your country. It's your right. Call 1-800-561-1188. Shaping Canada's future together.
Hi, I'm Cy Sperling, president of Hair Club for Men. Since 1982, when I did my first TV commercial, we now have over 30,000 satisfied clients. And it all started for them when they called our toll-free number to get their free booklet.
Inside the information booklet on thinning hair is a comprehensive discussion about dealing with hair loss. There's also Hair Club's non-surgical strand-by-strand method of adding carefully matched top-quality human hair to your own hair. It looks and feels natural, whether you're skimming the surf at 30 knots or racing the wind on a cruiser for 2. Even precious moments don't have to be anxious moments anymore. There's a renewed confidence in your appearance and yourself. Hair Club members enjoy a worry-free active lifestyle. For more information without obligation, call this toll-free number. You see, we believe the more you know about your hair loss options, the better we look.
And remember, we stand behind it. And by the way, I'm not only the Hair Club president, but I'm also a client.
.4240, I've got shots fired here. Send me another unit. Please, don't move! Please! Stop! Sheriff's Department, don't move! Don't move, please! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Now! Hands on back of the head! Don't move! Don't move! Don't move! Do not move!
Today on Sportsdesk, a real cat fight at Ira Wing Stadium. Things get a little sour for the Candyman. And the Europeans riding high at the Ryder Cup. Welcome to our TSN Control Center, everyone. I'm Chris Seaton's. Also coming up in the next half hour on Sportsdesk, the battle for top spot in the National League West continues on a couple of fronts, and some great news for baseball fans in Ottawa. But first, to the CFL. Okay, on to baseball now. A great pitching matchup at the Sky Dome in Toronto this afternoon. The Minnesota Twins sending 17-game winner Jack Morris to the Hill against Toronto's knuckleballer Tom Candiotti. Morris beat Toronto earlier this year despite giving up 5 runs over 7 innings. As for Candiotti, he was roughed up in his last start 5 days ago against California, giving up 7 runs in less than an inning. And the Candy Man was in another jam early in this one. With one out, he fans Chuck Knobloch, and then Pat Borders throws out Gene Larkin, trying to steal second base. Good job. Candiotti cruises through the first 4 innings, but in the 5th, he gets spiked in the foot by Brian Harper at first base. Candiotti goes down. Assistant trainer Brent Andrews tapes his ankle. Candiotti said he wanted to stay in the game, and that was what he did. And after allowing a single to Shane Mack, he hangs a curve to Craig Gagne. Gagne, with a shot to left field, brings home Chili Davis and Shane Mack, and the Twins are out in front 2-0. 2 batters later, Candiotti cannot continue, and he was forced to leave the ball game. Mike Timlin comes on, and Chuck Knobloch welcomes him with a single to right field. Gagne will come in to score. Joe Carter's throw to the plate, not in time to get Larkin, and it's 4-0 Twins after 5. The Blue Jays just couldn't get anything going against Jack Morris. Robbie Alomar hits a rope to Larkin in right, but Devon White was on the move and gets doubled off at first base. The veteran Morris goes the distance, scattering 6 hits to win his 18th game. He throws out Pat Borders to end the ball game. The Twins' magic number for clinching the American League West drops to 1 with the victory. 5-0 was the final score. Now with more from the Sky Dome, here's TSN's Gino Reda.
Well, Tom Candiotti seemed to be flying along nicely until the 5th inning when the injury bug bit again. You remember at his last outing, Candiotti only went 2/3 of an inning, got banged around for 7 runs. The problem was he had an abscessed tooth. Well, on this outing, everything was going well. 4 shutout innings until he was inadvertently spiked on his ankle at first base.
I guess what happened, there's a ground ball to first, and John did field ball cleanly and picked it up, didn't have a play at second, and he turned and lobbed it to me at first, and I was coming about the bag at the same time the ball was and the same time the runner was, and really can't put my eye in the bag, so I'm trying to catch the ball, and my foot hit the bag, and the runner came down at the same time, and unfortunately he was probably the only guy in that team that was wearing spikes. Everyone else has, because he's the catcher, everyone else has the turf shoes on, and he got me right behind the ankle bone, and so I just had 5 stitches put in, and the doctor says pretty fortunate because about 2 more millimeters, he said, would have severed all the tendons in my foot, so that's pretty lucky.
Meanwhile, on the Twins mound, they were a little more fortunate. Jack Morris threw a 6-hit complete game shutout.
Things worked out well. I had a few breaks there. They hit the ball hard at times, had people, but when I had to make the pitch, I was able to, and we got our runs to give me a little breathing room, and obviously the Twins are a little happier today than the Blue Jays are.
The finale of this Minnesota-Toronto series goes on Sunday afternoon when Scott Erickson will be taken to the mound for the Twins, looking for win number 20 on the season. He'll be facing Todd Stottlemyre, who has struggled recently. Let's take you back to Sports Desk.
Thank you, Gene. Now the Red Sox and the Brewers. Red Sox starter Mike Gardner working on a shutout in the 3rd inning. Thanks to some fine defense, Bill Spires pops one foul down the left side. Mike Greenwell chases it down with a sliding catch. No score through 5. Top of the 6th now. Phil Plantier lines a base hit to right center field with Jody Reed on the move. Reed is waved home. He will slide in ahead of the throw. Boston leads 1-0. But in the home half of the inning, the Brew Crew storm back. Spires bounces a single to center field. Jim Gantner will come in to score on the play, and with that, the game is tied at 1 apiece. Then it's Willie Randolph who steps in and bloops a single to right field. Spires will score on the play, and with that, the Brew Crew go in front 2-1. And with the Brewers up 3-1 in the 7th inning, Dante Bichette surprises everyone by laying down the perfect squeeze bunt. Darrell Hamilton comes in to score. With that, the Brew Crew up 4-1 after 7. Could they hold on? Doug Henry gets Ellis Birch to fly out to Robin Yount to center field to end this game. Milwaukee knocks off Boston again. 4-1 is the final in this one, and Doug Henry with his 12th save. Okay, let's check out the American League East Division standings after Saturday's action. The Jays lose, Boston lose. So that means the Jays now 3.5 up. The Jays' magic number, though, drops to 5. Any combination of Toronto wins and Boston losses, combining to 5, will give the East Division title to Toronto. Next, the Chicago White Sox against the Seattle Mariners, and the Minnesota Twins gathering at a sports bar in Toronto to see if they can clinch the American League West. A must-win game for the White Sox. A loss to the Mariners would mathematically eliminate Chicago and give the American League West Division title to those Minnesota Twins. Let's go to the action now. Bottom of the fourth inning, Sox down 1-0, but Robin Ventura puts Chicago on the board. Lead-off home run deep to right field. 23rd of the season for Ventura, and the game is tied at 1 apiece. Then fourth inning, Lance Johnson grounds to second. Seattle tries to turn the double play, but Jeff Schaefer throws wild to first base. 2 runs will come in to score. 4-1 Chicago after 4. Mariners skipper Jim Lefevre not too happy at this point, but in the 6th, Seattle gets a break. Ventura loses the handle on a double play ball. A run will come in to score, and Seattle trails 4-2. But the White Sox get out of the inning. Tino Martinez grounds into this 4-6-3 twin killing. Chicago goes on to down Seattle 5-2. Robin Ventura with his 23rd home run of the season. Scott Radinsky with his 7th save. Needless to say, the Minnesota Twins were disappointed watching the White Sox win tonight, but with an 8-game lead, they feel the American League West title is in their own hands.
It's fun to get the guys together and watch the ball game, but I'm not much for watching baseball. I like to play it, but I don't like to watch it, and didn't like to watch what was going on tonight. But we'll have to go out there, and the Blue Jays, you know, they're in a pennant race, and so are we. And so it's going to be a good ball game tomorrow. We'd like to win tomorrow.
A little disappointing tonight. I guess you got to do it on the field tomorrow.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys were looking forward to that anyway. We came here, had a good time, relaxed, and we'll come out tomorrow and play hard, hope to clinch it on the field like you should do it.
So here's a quick look at the American League West Division standings. Now Chicago still 8 back of Minnesota. The Twins win. Chicago with their loss. The magic number dropping to 1 in the American League West. Both teams with 8 games remaining. Elsewhere, it took 10 innings for Detroit to down Baltimore 5-4. Mickey Tendleton with his 29th home run of the season. Cleveland over New York 5-4. Steve Olin with his 15th save. Texas in 10 innings over Oakland 6-3. A bunch of home runs. Reimer and Palmer for Texas. McGuire and Gallego for Oakland. Jeff Russell with his 29th save. And rounding out the American League scoreboard, California edging Kansas City 4-3. Brian Harvey with the save, his 44th of the season. Okay, time for a quick break on Sports Desk. Still to come, the National League story in the tightest pennant race in baseball right now in the West Division. The Los Angeles Dodgers, 2 games up on the Atlanta Braves. We're facing their arch rivals from up the coast, the Giants. The Giants were about to make this one an easy one. And the Astros were standing in way of the Braves. Atlanta looking to ride the long ball in their battle to close in on the Dodgers.
Jeg spiller nu med Dragen. Står klar? Nej, lass ihn doch, vielleicht mag er keine. Ja, lass ihn doch. Helmut! Steig ein! Ist das ein deutsches Auto? Nein, Acura.
Presenting the 1992 Vigor. Engineering demanded that only a 5-cylinder engine would be right for this automobile. So we built it. Our latest expression of new world thinking.
Ist das ein deutsches Auto?
Nein. Acura. Ah.
A car. Once it gets going, it's hard to stop. So use Formula 44D. Formula 44D contains 2 of the ingredients doctors recommend most for fast relief. Formula 44D stops coughs fast.
The CFL on TSN, your season ticket to the best football schedule on TV. The Stampeders have been hot all season, but that's not going to stop the Western Rough Riders from taking a stab at first. Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, the CFL on TSN.
The battle for top spot in the National League West continues to be a dogfight. The Los Angeles Dodgers began the day 2 games up on the Atlanta Braves. We will start with the Dodgers against the San Francisco Giants. Trevor Wilson chasing his 12th win of the season for the Giants. Bottom of the first, Wilson will Cal Daniels. Daniels doesn't like the call and is thrown out of the game for arguing the call with the umpire. Top of the third, San Fran gets on the board. Will Clark with a drive to left field. The ball is gone. Clark's first home run since August 26th, a 2-run shot, 2-0 Giants. Trevor Wilson pitching extremely well for the Giants. Wilson pays his counterpart, Ramon Martinez. Wilson with a no-hitter good through 5. Bottom of the 6th, Wilson's no-hitter in jeopardy. Eddie Murray singles through the middle. Brett Butler scores. The Giants led 4-1. And that would wind up to be the final score. 4-1 San Francisco over Los Angeles. Don Robinson, the veteran, with his first save of the season. Next, the Braves against the Astros. Kent Merker and the Braves looking to pick up a game on Los Angeles. Bottom of the fourth, Ken Caminetti pulls a shot down the line. Jeff Bagwell comes around to score from first base. Will he do it? Plenty of time. No trouble, 1-0 Astros. Top of the fifth, Houston leading 2-0. Sid Bream cuts that in half with a solo shot over the wall. 2-1 Astros with the lead. Top of the seventh, Ron Gant drives it just by Caminetti. The ball goes to the corner. The relay throw is bobbled by Caminetti. This will allow Dave Justice to come in to score. Gant's 100th RBI of the season. 3-2 Houston in front. Top of the ninth inning, Braves are leading 4-3 now. Jeff Blauser gets a big insurance run with his solo shot with that 5-3 Braves. They hold on to win this game 5-4. Sid Bream and Jeff Blauser with the home runs. 11th of the season for both of them. Alejandro Pena with his 12th save for the Braves. So let's check out the National League West Division standings now after Saturday's action. Los Angeles with the loss, Atlanta with the win, meaning Atlanta moves to within 1 game of first place Los Angeles. Both teams with 7 games remaining. The magic number for the Dodgers remains at 7. Elsewhere, San Diego over Cincinnati 4-2. Craig Shipley with his first home run for San Diego. Joe Oliver with his 10th for Cincinnati. Mike Maddox picking up his 5th save. The Montreal Expos are making the best of a bad situation these days. Their pennant hopes died a long time ago, but they're currently enjoying the best month of the season for them. Their team, the Expos, had won 5 of their last 7 as they continue their series against the winningest team in baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's go now to this action from Pittsburgh. Last of the first, Bobby Bonilla drills the ball into the alley. That sends Don Slott on the run. The Expos get the ball in, but Slott will arrive safely. And with that, the game is tied at 1 apiece. Top of the second, John Vanderwall pokes an extra base hit. Cashing in is Larry Walker. Montreal regains the lead 2-1. Top of the seventh, Nelson Santavania lifts a fly ball to center field. Andres Galarraga will watch it, tag up, come in to score easily. 3-2 Expos. Really no effort to try and get him by the Pirates. 3-2 Montreal at that point, and that's the way this one ended. Mel Roja coming in for his 5th save. The Expos having a good month of September. Some other scores from the National League. John Kruk with his 21st home run, powering Philadelphia past New York 6-2. And it was St. Louis over Chicago 3-2. Lee Smith, the veteran, with his 45th save. It's official now. Professional baseball.
Get set for an exciting October on TSN. Today on Sportsdesk, the Blue Jays taking some giant steps to flag down a pennant. The Ryder Cup is up for grabs, the Americans facing the Europeans. And the Argonauts blocking the path to another Rough Rider win.
Sports Desk, brought to you by Chevy Truck.
Welcome to Sports Desk, everyone. I'm Chris Edens. Also coming up in the next half hour, the Braves beef up in their battle to overtake the Dodgers in the National League West Division. The Mets figure this bud's not for them. We'll explain. And the complete NFL story. But first, the best of the East against the best of the West in the American League as the Minnesota Twins and Toronto Blue Jays wrapped up a 3-game series at the Skydome in Toronto. The Twins needing just 1 win or a loss by Chicago to clinch the American League West Division title. The Jays entering the game with a magic number down to 5 to clinch in the East Division. First inning, Scott Erickson gave up a leadoff double to Devon White. Robbie Alomar then lays down the sacrifice bunt. Erickson goes for the out at third. White is safe. The Jays take advantage. With the bases loaded, Kelly Gruber lifts one deep to left field. Dan Gladden makes the catch, but White will watch him make the catch, tag up, score from third base, and it's 1-0 Toronto in front. The next batter is the Candyman. Candy Maldonado rips a 2-out single to left center field. Alomar comes around to score on the play. With that, the Jays up 2-0 after 1. Todd Stottlemyre cruising until the 7th inning when, with a man on, Mike Pagliarulo crushes one to center field. Devon White goes back, and he is known for making these beautiful catches at the wall. Beautiful jumping catch by Devon White in straightaway center field. Mike Timlin then came on to face pinch hitter Paul Sorrento. Sorrento bounces a single up the middle. Gene Larkin scores. With that, the Twins trail 2-1. The key at bat of the ball game came in the 7th. With 2 out, Randy Bush chops one. Pat Borders can't get the out at first, but he sees that pinch runner Jarvis Brown is hung up rounding third base, fires to Gruber for the out. A huge play for Toronto. Stopper Tom Henke still on the shelf for the Jays, so David Wells comes on to toss a perfect 8th inning. Dwayne Ward came in and set the Twins down in order. In the 9th inning, Mike Pagliarulo flies out to center field to end this ballgame. The Jays' magic number down to 4 after a 2-1 win over Minnesota. Dwayne Ward picking up the save, his 20th of the season. Stottlemyre the winner. Scott Erickson took the loss. With more from the Sky Dome, here's TSN's Gino Reda.
So Stottlemyre, Timlin, Wells, and Ward combined for a Blue Jay 5-hit 2-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins. Toronto chips away at their magic number in the American League East. Now, interesting scenario. The Minnesota Twins quickly ran off of the field into their clubhouse to turn on the television sets to see how the Chicago White Sox are doing. You see, the Twins came into the day with a magic number of 1. They lost here, but they can still clinch the West if Chicago loses. But surprise, football, not baseball. The Jets and Dolphins on TV, not the White Sox and Mariners.
We'll find out sooner or later who won the ball game, but we're going to prepare ourselves to go to Chicago now and win the ball game over there.
Is the team making an effort? Like, do you have somebody running scores in for you like that, or is it not that much of an preoccupation for you right now?
No, I think it's important that we prepare to go to Chicago, like a standard operating procedure, what we do all season. We leave an hour after the game, we're going to stay with our same program.
There's nothing we can do about it, man. You know, we try to do our job. We did it yesterday, and we sat there and we waited, and you were there with us, and we thought they were going to pull it out. Chicago won, so, you know, they're not showing it in the clubhouse. So, I mean, it's going to have to be a secret. We might be on our way to Hamilton on the bus and get ready to get on the plane, and then we get to Chicago, we might find out something. But, I mean, other than that, we don't know. It's nothing else we can do today, and as far as we're concerned, it's over with.
And true to their word, the guys calmly filed onto the bus for the airport with their destiny still up in the air. The bus is pulled out, and sure enough, halfway to the airport, the final was in. The Mariners hung on to defeat the White Sox by a score of 2-1 and sealed the American League West for the Twins. So Minnesota clinches the American League West title for the 2nd time in the last 5 years and 4th time in the history of their franchise. Toronto Blue Jays go back to work on Monday night against the California Angels here at the Sky Dome. The big question mark is Tom Henke. You see, Henke's only thrown 5 times in the last month. He's got mild tendonitis in his shoulders, had a couple of cortisone shots. The big question mark is, when will Henke be ready to throw again?
Well, we're not sure, but, you know, this is the 2nd day after he had his injection, so we know something tomorrow, I guess.
It's a lot of fun if we can clinch here against the Angels, and that depends how we do with the Angels, and that depends how Boston do with Milwaukee today and how they do with the other team that they're going to play against. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun to clinch here in our stadium.
Blue Jays move on now to open a series against the California Angels. This will be at the Sky Dome, the first game of the series. Mark Langston against Jimmy Key. Great pitching matchup. You can catch this game live on TSN, 7:30 Eastern Time. Game 1 of this 3-game set at the Sky Dome. Next, the Red Sox against the Brewers. Red Sox will waste no time getting the Brewers rookie starter, Cap Eldred. Top of the first, runners at first and third. Phil Plantier tomahawks the ball to right field. Ellis Burks comes in to score. Still in the first, Tom Brunansky, Bruno fish one into right field. Jody Reed will score. The Sox led 2-0 after half an inning. Top of the fourth, Brunansky goes deep this time. He belts his 16th home run of the season, a solo shot to left field, and Boston's lead is now 3-0. Boston led 4-0 after 5, but the Brewers rally with 3 runs in the 6th. Darrell Hamilton's infield hit brings home Willie Randolph with that. Milwaukee trails 4-3. Then, bottom of the 8th inning, Jeff Reardon in relief for Boston, but with 2 men on, Dale Swain goes the other way, doubles to left field. Darrell Hamilton, Jim Gantner both come in to score. The Brewers went up 5-4. Joe Morgan feeling the pressure as Boston falls 4.5 games back to the Blue Jays after a 5-4 loss to Milwaukee. Tom Brunansky with the only home run in this game, his 16th. Doug Harvey came in for his 13th save. So here is a look at that American League East Division standings. Now the race between the Jays and the Red Sox. Toronto a winner, Boston the loser. The Jays now 4.5 up on Boston. The Jays' magic number drops to 3. Any combination of Toronto wins and Boston losses adding up to 3. and the Blue Jays clinched the pennant. Elsewhere, it was Baltimore downing Detroit 7-4. Cal Ripken Jr. with a pair of home runs. He now has 34 on the season. Todd Frowers with his third save for the Obers. Cleveland over New York 5-2. Steve Owen picking up his 16th save. Kansas City over California 8-4. Dave Winfield with a home run for California. Tim Spare with a grand slam, his first career grand slam for Kansas City. Kevin Apier picked up the win. Oakland over Texas 19-5. Ruben Sierra and Ricky Henderson with the home run. Still to come on Sports Desk, some surprising baseball news. A late season trade by the Atlanta Braves and the firing of Mets manager Bud Harrelson. The Mets are wrapping up a disappointing year with just 6 days left in the regular season. The big question is, why do it now? We'll find out when we come back. And an exciting finish to the Ryder Cup golf tournament. We'll have highlights when Sports Desk returns.
We lived in the city. My dad was a fireman. He used to say, never be scared, be prepared. Out here, I'm a teacher and a volunteer fireman, but I still don't get to ride the truck.
You never know what's round the bend, so every Lumina Euro has anti-lock brakes and fully independent suspension. It's a Chevrolet.
We're tuning up for the greatest season yet of NHL hockey. Big rebound. Cleveland scores. Wow, that was a fresh deep. Classic. This damn boot takes the shot. Get ready for the excitement. The NHL on TSN.
Just how keen are the Atlanta Braves to win the National League West Division title? We'll try this on for size. With less than a week remaining in the regular season, the Braves have swung a surprising trade with the Chicago Cubs. Here's a look at it. They acquire pitcher Mike Bielecki and catcher Damon Berryhill. Bielecki fills the bill in their recent search for a fifth starter. To get him, the Braves had to give up one of their best pitching prospects, Turk Wendell, and another minor league pitcher, Yorkis Perez. The Braves in action Sunday afternoon against the Houston Astros. Top of the third, the Braves get on the board first. Mark Lemke with the single to right. Rafael Belliard will come in to score on the play, and Atlanta leads 1-0. Top of the fourth now, Dave Justice with the shot to center field, and last year's Rookie of the Year in the National League puts this one over the wall in straightaway center field. Atlanta goes up 2-0. Justice's 20th home run of the season. Top of the fifth, Rays looking to blow the Astros away. Terry Pendleton singles to left field. Belliard, Lonnie Smith both come in to count. It's now 4-0. Bottom of the eighth, the Astros are rallying. Casey Kendall singles to left field. Two Astros come into cash. Houston now trails 5-4. The next batter, Javier Ortiz, singles up the middle. With that, Jeff Bagwell will come in to score. The game is now tied at 5. We go to extra innings. Top of the 13th, the Braves forge ahead. The game-winning run, Brian Hunter with a shot to the outfield. Finley bobbles it a couple times. Ron Gant on his horse. He will come in to score easily with the game-winning run. A big win for the Atlanta Braves. They went in front 6-5, and they would hold on to win. Well, they didn't have to hold on. That clinched it right there. 6-5 was the final score in 13 innings. Atlanta downing Houston at the Astrodome. Justice and Sims with the home runs. So, with their victory, the Atlanta Braves move to within a half game of the first-place Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League West. Sunday night, Dodgers needing a win against San Francisco. If they lose, the Braves take over a share of first place in the National League's West Division. The Giants get on the board first, top of the first inning. Will Clark singles past Eddie Murray. Mike Felder comes in to score, and it's 1-0 San Francisco in front. The score stays that way until the fourth inning. Matt Williams will take Mike Morgan. Deep, solo shot, 32nd of the year, and the Giants lead 2-0. Top of the fifth, Willie McGee hits a shot down the left field line. It rolls to the corner. Mike Felder, he's being waved from third base. Lenny Harris with the relay. Felder is called out at the plate. It's 2-0 Giants in front. Bottom of the ninth, Mike Sharperson. It's a broken bat grounder to short. Stan Javier scores, and then the bat hits the ball. Can you believe it or not? Probably saving a run for the Giants. Score tied at 2 in the second. Rather, the second out. Bottom of the ninth, Gerald Strawberry singles to center field. Brett Butler scores. The Dodgers win it, a wild one at the stick, actually at Dodger Stadium. Los Angeles 3-2 over San Francisco. Matt Williams with the only home run, his 32nd of the season. So here's a look now at the National League West Division standings. Los Angeles with the win, Atlanta with the win. So that means Los Angeles still one up on the Braves in the National League West. The Dodgers' magic number, however, drops to 6 with their victory. In his final move as general manager of the New York Mets, Frank Cashin has fired manager Bud Harrelson and replaced him on an interim basis with third base coach Mike Cubbage for the last week of the season. As Jim Van Horn tells us, the firing didn't come as a big surprise, but the timing certainly did.
Harrelson was under fire for much of the season as the Mets fell out of the National League East race in July. The team is currently heading for its worst season since 1983. Harrelson took over as manager last season when Davey Johnson was fired in May. The team went 71-59 under Harrelson and finished second in the East. This season, the Mets have an overall record of 74-80 and are currently third in their division.
Well, I'm disappointed, but you know, I'm glad that Buddy's still going to be in the organization. You know, that's the main thing. He's still going to be around, so it's not like, you know, we're not going to, you know, have him, you know, close. And you know, I'm glad for Cubby to get an opportunity. He's deserving. He's a good man.
I've been told that I will be given strong consideration for the job, and I think if they stay in the organization, I would have a good shot at it.
And a win for the new manager in his first game. It was New York downing Philadelphia 4-3. Murphy and Chamberlain with home runs. John Franco picking up his 30th save. Pittsburgh over Montreal 6-3. Bonds and Wilkerson with the home runs. Bob Kipper with his 4th save. Chicago downing St. Louis 5-3. Paul Eisenmacher with his 14th save. Cincinnati downing San Diego 8-1. Chris Sable with his 26th home run for the victorious Reds. There are...
Coming up on Sports Desk, the Blue Jays hoping to turn the chase for first place into a laugher. Our NHL season previews begin. We take a look at the Addams family. And Kitchener's Lennox Lewis puts his title on the line. Television that packs a punch on Sports Desk.
Sports Desk, brought to you by Chevy Truck.
Hello there and welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Paul Romanuk. Also coming up in the next half hour, another strange twist in the National League West pennant chase to tell you about, the latest news in the Eric Lindros saga, and the ever-popular plays of the week. But first up, the Blue Jays look to take their magic number down just one more notch. Could there be any better way to head into the postseason for the Toronto Blue Jays, should they go on to clinch, than facing the pitching that they've had to face? It is pitching and defense more often than not that come to the fore in the playoffs in the World Series. And in that sense, the Blue Jays have been in the playoffs for the last week and a half, facing and beating some of the best pitching in the American League. They have been in really tough, and they were again tonight facing Mark Langston of the California Angels. He was tough in the Jays early on, though. Last of the second, Kelly Gruber watches the curve go by, and John Olerud swinging through a third strike, sort of. Jimmy Key has his problems in the fourth. Lance Parrish will crunch this one. It goes back, but Joe Carter, great catch, and then gets the ball in. Dave Winfield slides in. He is safe at third. However, he was early leaving second. And on the appeal and the throw back to second, they get Winfield. Key struggling in the fifth as well. Sean Abner with a single. Chris Crone is waved in, but he stumbles on the turn, has to scramble back to third. And even Buck Rogers can sympathize a little with the rookie, having trouble with his footing. Last of the sixth, Joe Carter. And Dick Schofield will throw it away. Manny Lee comes in to score on the error, 1-0 for the Blue Jays. Then in the top of the eighth inning, Mike Timlin on to relieve Key. 2 on and 2 out, and Dave Winfield does that. Luis Polonia and Schofield come in. It's 2-1 for the Angels. Then in the home half of the eighth inning, Brian Harvey comes in and Harvey gets the job done. He picks up his 45th save of the year, and California downing Toronto by a score of 2-1. 45 saves for Harvey. Jimmy Key takes the loss. With a post-game wrap-up, here is Teresa Hergert.
In the last week and a half, 2 weeks, the Jays have really come up against some tough pitching, and tonight proved to be no different. The combined efforts of Mark Langston and Brian Harvey proved to be too tough to get past.
I was talking to a friend of mine about that today. You know, we faced Langston twice, Abbott, Finley, Welch, Holman, Hanson, Johnson. The last 10 days have been tough.
You have to give them credit. Langston pitched a great game, and they come back on us in the 8th. It's got 2 runs, and Harvey closed it out. So we'll just have to try to pick up tomorrow where, you know, the momentum we brought into tonight.
Well, if we can come out and play like we did tonight and, of course, score a couple more runs, I mean, you have to go back and remember that they were kind of picked to win their division, too, so they're not a last-place team, you know. They probably got 3 guys that have over 17, 18 wins over there, so they are a quality ball club.
The Jays have really had some trouble with the Angels this year. So far, through 10 games, they have only managed to win 4. Well, if they're hoping to clinch the AL East here in Toronto, they're going to have to hope for a better result Tuesday night. Well, that's it from the Sky Dome. Now let's head back to Sports Desk and check in on the Boston Red Sox.
And the Boston Red Sox busy against the Milwaukee Brewers. Dan Plesac, a converted reliever on the mound for Milwaukee, top of the first. Bases loaded for the Sox. Carlos Quintana sends one, and everyone comes in to score except Quintana. Boston leads 3-0. Red Sox add 1 more run in the inning. That's Quintana talking to himself there in the dugout. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Brewers are mounting a comeback. Greg Vaughn will single. Willie Randolph will come in. The Brewers trail 6-4 through 3. Bottom of the 5th, Milwaukee could take the lead on 1 swing in the bat, and that is exactly what Greg Vaughn does. A 3-run shot. The Brewers lead 7-6. Top of the 7th, Jack Clark avenging 3 earlier strikeouts in this game with a monster shot. Is it ever? That's his 28th home run of the year. It's a 2-run shot. The Red Sox leading 8-7. They go on to win it. Final score is 9-8. Boston over Milwaukee. Phil Plantier and Jack Clark with home runs for Boston. George Cannell and Greg Vaughn with home runs for Milwaukee. Dan Petrie picks up his first save of the year. So here's the picture in the American League East. It is on top. Toronto 3.5 up on Boston. The Blue Jays' magic number is 3. That magic number, any combination of Toronto wins and or Boston losses. You should know that by now. The Minnesota Twins, a happy lot since clinching the American League West, if for no other reason, a number of the players say, than because they no longer have to answer questions about when they'll clinch. Now they can answer questions like, what's the rotation going to be for the playoffs? Answer, for the first 3 games anyway, it will be Jack Morris, followed by Kevin Tapani, and then Scott Erickson. The Twins playing against Chicago tonight with little pressure on them, really. Top of the 2nd, Mike Pagliarulo with a sac fly. Brian Harper tags from 3rd. Here's the throw. It ricochets off of Harper. He'll score. Alex Fernandez throws over to 1st, or tries to get Randy Bush. Doesn't. Bush heads for 3rd. Throw comes in, and Bush is gunned down at 3rd. Long way to go to get 1 run. They do, and it's 1-0. Top of the 5th, Twins up 4-0. Pedro Munoz sends this one back for a 3-run shot. Twins are up 7-0. That was the ripper there. That opened things right up. Next batter is Paul Sorrento, and he takes Tom Threes deep and back and out. Back-to-back home runs for the Twins. They open up an 8-0 lead, and the Minnesota Twins go on to win this game by a score of 8-3. Randy Bush, Pedro Munoz, and Paul Sorrento with home runs for Minnesota, and it was Alex Fernandez taking his 13th loss of the year. Other games to tell you about, none of which really mean a whole heck of a lot at this time of the year. Seattle 3-2 over Texas. Of note, though, Nolan Ryan striking out Dave Valley in the 6th inning, the 5,500th strikeout of Nolan Ryan's career. And in the 2nd game of the doubleheader, it was Jeff Russell picking up his 30th save, Brian Bohannon picking up his 4th win. They combine on that shutout. Oakland losing to Kansas City by a score of 8-4. Baltimore playing Detroit. The Tigers with 200 home runs, becoming the first team in Major League history to have 4 200 home run seasons. The Tigers hitting 3 home runs in this game. I'm sure there are a number of you keeping track of that stat at home. New York over Cleveland 3-0. Greg Cadaret picks up his 3rd save of the season. Well, Oh, there is lots more still to come on Sports Desk. We'll take a look at Lennox Lewis's defense of both his British and European heavyweight boxing title. Lewis fighting this afternoon in London, England. He didn't have all that tough a time of it, I can tell you that much. And we'll also take a look at another round in the battle for the National League West title. Dodgers playing San Diego and Atlanta at Cincinnati as they chase a pennant.
We lived in the city. My dad was a fireman. He used to say, never be scared, be prepared. Out here, I'm a teacher and a volunteer fireman, but I still don't get to ride the truck.
You never know what's round the bend, so every Lumina Euro has anti-lock brakes and fully independent suspension. It's a Chevrolet.
They say, never judge someone till you've walked a mile in his shoes. So I walked a mile of my own and came here, a new man. I live better, even eat better. And when I eat margarine, it's Fleischmann's.
Fleischmann's, cholesterol-free and low in saturated fat.
When I think of how I used to be, I wouldn't want to be in that man's shoes.
The LA Dodgers with a one-game lead in the National League West heading into play tonight. LA sending Oral Hershiser out to start. Time was when a Hershiser start often meant a night off for the bullpen, but in the last 2 seasons, Hershiser has not finished a game, believe it or not. The Dodgers have gone to the bullpen, as a matter of fact, an average of 3 times per game in each of Hershiser's 20 starts this season. Hershiser on the mound, but he let his bat do the talking tonight, actually. He will single and score Lenny Harris, and it was 2-0 Dodgers at that point. Always nice when you can drive in a run and give yourself a little offensive support. Dodgers add to the lead. Darryl Strawberry off of Dennis Rasmussen. It's a solo shot. It's 3-0 for the Dodgers. Still in the 4th, Rasmussen will unload a wild pitch. Eddie Murray's going to come in to score, and then Juan Samuel says, maybe I'll sneak in too. And Samuel comes in and pays for it. He's gone. Dodgers are up 4-0. Hershiser sailing along. Brings up Tim Tuffle. That's his 5th strikeout of the night. We go to the top of the 8th. Hershiser out of the game by now. He didn't last the whole game. Jack Howell will belt a 2-run shot, and the Padres now trail by 3. But it wasn't enough. Final score on this one is 7-2. Hershiser does not get the complete game. He does get the win. The Dodgers 7-2 over top of San Diego. So, you are wondering, what happened with Atlanta? We'll tell you, they're playing Cincinnati. Bottom of the 1st, 2-1 for Barry Larkin. Mariano Duncan hung up between 2nd and 3rd, but Greg Olson decides to go to 1st. He gets Hal Morris. John Smoltz dekes himself out of that jam. Top of the 3rd, Braves up 1-0. Sid Bream with a single. Mark Lemke and Terry Pendleton both come in. The Braves are up by a score of 3-0. The next batter is Olson, and he hits a shot. Finds the gap. The ball goes to the wall. Bream comes around to score from 1st. It is 4-0 Braves, and that is it. Smoltz doesn't need a whole heck of a lot more support. He pitches a 2-hitter over 8 innings, does not allow a run, gets Reggie Jefferson swinging there, and the Braves go on to win. 4-0 is the final score. So the Braves had won this game earlier in the night. The Dodgers keeping pace with their win later in the night. So here's the picture in the National League West. The best race going in baseball right now. Atlanta 1 game back. The Dodgers' magic number is 5, but you don't talk about magic numbers when the race is this close. The New York Mets are making like Western heroes after the All-Star break and fading into the old sunset. They will have much to think about in the coming weeks. Manager Bud Harrelson gone. President General Manager Frank Cashin will be replaced the day after the season ends. Pitchers Dwight Gooden and Sid Fernandez both recovering from arthroscopic surgery. The future of Gooden in question just a little. Tonight, mopping up against Pittsburgh is the story. In the bottom of the 2nd, 2-0 Bucks, and Jay Bell will ride one deep. If this is gone, it's a grand slam. And it is. Pirates are up 6-0. Top of the 5th inning. The Mets are trying to come back. Kevin Elster with a single. Howard Johnson and Greg Jeffries will both wheel in. It is 6-4. Pirates are still on top. So we go to the top of the 5th inning. Rick Cerrone drives one.
Shot deep to left
And it's got a
field.
chance.
Can he get there?
More than a chance, it's gone. The Mets trailing by a score of 6-5, and the final is just that. 6-5, the Mets can't quite pull it back. Close enough. Final score, 6-5, Pittsburgh over top of New York. Other games to tell you about. Philadelphia over Chicago by a score of 6-5. Wes Chamberlain, his 13th home run of the year for Philadelphia. Houston is shutting out San Francisco. Xavier Hernandez picked up his 3rd save of the season. And oh, whoa, the Montreal Expos losing by a score of 11-1. Ray Lankford picked up his 9th home run of the year for St. Louis. Juan Augusto picks up his 2nd. How do you get a save in an 11-1 game? Will somebody explain that to me? 11.
Coming up on Sports Desk, the Blue Jays try to knock off the Angels and knock down their magic number. The winless Colts bid adieu to Coach Ron Meyer. And a look ahead to the NHL's Smythe Division. Welcome to Sports Desk, everyone. I'm Chris Seaton's. Also coming up in the next half hour, a chat with primetime Neon Deion Sanders and lots of hockey news, including a look at the Vancouver Canucks and the rest of the Smythe Division. But first, a collective sigh of relief by the Toronto Blue Jays as they prepare to face the California Angels Tuesday night. After facing the likes of Mark Langston, Jim Abbott, and Jack Morris over the last week and a half or so, they finally met up with a pitcher whose name is not mentioned when talking about potential Cy Young candidates this year. Mike Fetters has not pitched well in any of his 3 starts this season, losing all 3, compiling a 7.59 ERA. Jays get to him in the 4th inning with 2 out. Kelly Gruber fights off a pitch into left field. Joe Carter scores 1-0 Toronto. Lots of action in the bottom of the 5th. Manny Lee lays down the sacrifice. Fetters throws high to first. Lee collides with Gary DeSarcina. They both go down. DeSarcina is shaken up, but stays in the game. As for Manny Lee, he's feeling a bit wobbly himself. After Devon White flew out, Roberto Alomar grounds to short. Dick Schofield throws home to get Pat Borders. Watch Borders. Yeah, a catcher knows how to handle a catcher at home plate. Tingley is forced to leave the game. Next batter, Joe Carter. Carter comes through with a 2-out single to left center field. Manny Lee comes in to score. Jays up 2-0. Then John Olerud pulls a single to right. Alomar tries to score from second, and he will slide in ahead of the throw. And it's 3-0 Toronto. Juan Guzman looking for a club record 10th straight win as the starter strikes out Lee Stevens in the 7th. Up go the K-Cards. He racked up 6 on the night. 9th inning now. Jays up 5-2. Pinch hitter Ruben Amaro Jr. represents the tying run, but Dwayne Ward gets him to ground into the 1-6-3 twin killing. Jays win 5-2. Their magic number temporarily falling to 2 pending the outcome of the Boston game. Though the save going to Dwayne Ward, his 21st. The only home run going to California's Dave Winfield, his 27th. Juan Guzman now 10-2, his team record 10th consecutive victory. He hasn't lost in 20 starts. With more from the Sky Dome, here's TSN's Rod Smith.
Well, you can bet the Jays are dying to clinch the American League East Division title right here in front of their home fans at the Sky Dome. And there's a chance it could happen now, thanks to some timely hitting, some aggressive base running, a few breaks, and once again, more outstanding pitching from Juan Guzman.
Juan's phenomenal. You know, the guy's a rookie, and, you know, he's won 10 straight. You know, I mean, in all pressure games, he's gone out there. He's been, you know, you almost think our most consistent pitcher the last 2 or 3 months of the season.
We're looking to clinch it tomorrow here at home.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice for the fans. It would be nice for us. We could go to Minnesota and not relax, but have some nice days over there, a little bit more relaxing than it would be if we had to go over there and win a couple of games.
Tomorrow night here at Sky Dome is the Jays' final regular season game at home, and it could turn out to be an eventful evening. Not only will the Jays set a new attendance mark, pushing it over 4 million fans, but in the process, the fans here may get to witness the 3rd division title in Blue Jay history. Rod Smith, TSN in Toronto.
Thank you, Rod. Deep in the heart of Boston, the Red Sox pulse is slowly getting weaker as the Sox wrapping up their game with Detroit on Tuesday night. They already knew the outcome at the Skydome in Toronto. The Jays' win had temporarily brought their magic number down to 2. A Boston loss would lower it to 1. Rocket Roger Clemens on the mound for the Red Sox, looking for his 19th win of the season, but the Tigers had other ideas. Dave Bergman will take Clemens deep in the second inning. A 2-run shot into the bullpen in right center field. Tigers up 2-0. Meanwhile, Frank Tanana cruising along for Detroit. Here he will get rookie Phil Plaintier with the change. As for Rocket Roger Clemens, he is still struggling. Travis Fryman will take the Rocket over the green monster in left field. This is a solo shot for Travis Fryman. 3-0 Tigers. Clemens so far has allowed 3 hits and 2 of them home runs. Make that 3 home runs as Pete Incaviglia tees off on the Rocket man. This time a 3-run shot. It is not looking pretty for the Red Sox. 6-0 Detroit at that point. Tigers would hold on to win this game 8-5 at Fenway Park. Tanana gets the win for Detroit. It was Clemens taking the loss for Boston. Bergman, Fryman, and Incaviglia with the home run. So now a look at the American League East Division standings. Toronto's win, Boston's loss, puts the Blue Jays' magic number down to 1. Jays up 4.5 in the American League East, and the Jays can clinch the American League East Division title Wednesday, and you can catch that game live on TSN 7:30 Eastern. Elsewhere, Minnesota over Chicago 3-2. Kirby Puckett with his 15th home run. Seattle downing Texas 8-1. Jay Buhner with his 26th home run. Oakland downing Kansas City 4-0. McGuire and Canseco with home runs for the A's. It was Leo Gomez with his 16th home run for Baltimore in a losing cause. New York wins this game 3-2. Twin bill between Milwaukee and Cleveland. It was the Brewers winning the first game 11-0. And in the second half, Cleveland took the nightcap 6-2. There is a report out of Boston on Wednesday that says Tom Trebelhorn won't be back with the Milwaukee Brewers next season. Don Baylor, the Brewers hitting coach, is mentioned as a possible replacement for Trebelhorn. Whatever the case may be, the team is not commenting on the report. Time for a quick break on Sports Desk. Still to come, the Vancouver Canucks. We will take a look at them as they prepare for the start of the 1991-92 NHL regular season. The keyword in Vancouver appears to be optimism. David Pratt has a report when we come back. And baseball, the toughest pennant race in baseball this year. The Atlanta Braves and Los Angeles Dodgers will have highlights from both when we come back.
The Subarus built in the last 10 years, 93% are still on the road today. So when you're driving your 1992 Subaru Legacy in the year 2002, its competitors may seem a little square. The new 1992 Subaru Legacy, built to drive you into the 21st century.
The Arcot theory was unusual. Bridgestone engineers used the tire in motion to shape a new design. Result, compared to our proven conventional radials, more tire stays in contact with the road for sharper cornering and quicker stops. Bridgestone Arcot, taking the abstract to the concrete.
Enter the Bridgestone Performance Sweepstakes at your Bridgestone dealer, and you could win a Mazda Miata or a set of Bridgestone tires.
Baseball's best pennant race is still up in the air. The Los Angeles Dodgers still just 1 game up on the Atlanta Braves in the National League's West Division, but they faced a red-hot pitcher on Tuesday night. Andy Benes of the Padres chasing his 15th win. He has won 10 straight decisions after losing his first start of the season, or their first start after the All-Star break. Benes looking for his 11th straight victory. Padres taking on the Dodgers. As I told you before, bottom of the third, Dodgers leading 1-0. Darryl Strawberry takes Benes deep to right center field. His 7th home run against the Padres. Dodgers up 2-0. Next inning, Mike Scioscia at the plate. And Scioscia will rock Benes deep to right center field. This is gone. A solo shot for Mike Scioscia. Dodgers lead 3-0. Dodgers starter Bobby Ojeda. He had some good stuff on this night. Ojeda scattering 5 hits over 8. And his third innings, not allowing a run. Here he gets Kevin Ward going down swinging. Later in the inning, Roger McDowell in relief. Dodgers leading 3-1. 2 men on for Benito Santiago. Santiago hits into a 1-2-3 strange double play to end the inning. Dodgers go on to win this game 3-1 with the final at Chavez Ravine. Next, Atlanta against Cincinnati. The Atlanta Braves up to a good start against the Reds. Bottom of the first, Chris Sabo hits a blooper down the right field line. The ball drops between Mark Lemke and Sid Bream. Barry Larkin scores. Chris Sabo tries to go to the third on the play, but Dave Justice guns him down. Bottom of the first, Charlie Liebrandt walked the bases loaded, and then Joe Oliver will take him out of the ballpark. This is a grand slam for Joe Oliver. Reds up 6-0. The Braves bats start to nibble away at that lead in the top of the fifth. 6-2 Reds, and Terry Pendleton will belt a solo shot to right field, and the Braves trail by 3. Now, top of the ninth, the Braves down to their last at bat, trailing by 1. Dave Justice clobbers this Rob Dibble pitch with a runner on. No question about it. That one's gone. The Braves go up 7-6. And they complete their comeback after being down 6-0. What a comeback by the Braves, pulling one out of the fire in Cincinnati. 7-6 the final. Pendleton and Justice with home runs for Atlanta. Joe Oliver with his 11th for Cincinnati. Now, the standings in the National League West Division look like this. Los Angeles with a win, Atlanta with a win. The Dodgers' magic number now stands at 4. The Dodgers still just 1 up. Other scores now. Montreal losing to St. Louis 3-1. The save going to Lee Smith, he's 46th. Pittsburgh edging New York 2-1. Stan Belinda with his 15th save. San Francisco over Houston 6-4. John Forget picking up the win. And it took 13 innings for the Phillies to down the Cubs. 6-5 was the final in this one. Ryan Sandberg with his 26th home run.
Eastern on TSN.
Coming up on Sports Desk, there is lots of room in the Blue Jays bandwagon, so jump aboard. A couple of NHL defensemen jump teams. And has anyone seen Elliot Ness? The Leafs won't be untouchable, but they'll be well dressed.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Suzuki, makers of Swift, Samurai, and Sidekick. If it's Suzuki, it's all right.
Well, you know, there are other things going on in the sports world, but for all intents and purposes, the night belonging to baseball fans and the Toronto Blue Jays in particular. So tonight, the Blue Jays clinching the American League East pennant for the 3rd time in the 14-year history of the franchise. And just to put things into perspective, ironically enough, on the same night, the Blue Jays' expansion cousins, the Seattle Mariners, looking to clinch the first 500 season in the history of the franchise. What an amazing credit that is to the management of the Blue Jays and the high levels which they've been able to hit over the relatively short history of the franchise. Over 4 million fans into the Sky Dome this season in all to watch the team. Top of the first inning of this clinching game against the California Angels. Roberto Alomar throws to the plate. Pat Borders stands tall. Max Venable is out. Joe Gray, 1-0 lead in the 3rd. Perfect, sitting down first 9 Jays that he faces. Then in the 4th, Angels get 3 consecutive hits. Gary Gaetti lines this, and it's out of play for a ground rule double. Dave Winfield and Lee Stevens come in. It's 3-0 California. Gray has a no-hitter in the 5th inning and then hit the self-destruct button. He walks Dave Parker. Pat Borders gets a free pass, and then Manny Lee draws the walk. Bases are loaded. Devon White will step in.
Line at Gaetti. Can't make the catch.
Gaetti couldn't handle it. Parker comes in. It's 3-1 Angels in the 5th. Things get worse for Gray. Alomar draws the 4th walk of the inning. It's 3-2 Angels. Last of the 6th. Scott Bales comes in to pitch. Candy Maldonado will greet him.
2-0 pitch. Maldonado tanked it. Way back. Way back and gone.
Way back indeed. A 2-run shot. It's 4-3 Toronto. And look at this hustle by Joe Carter. Into the stands, and he pulls it in. Top of the 8th inning now. David Wells rocked by Dave Winfield. That is Winfield's 1,600th career RBI. More importantly, in tonight's scenario, it ties the game. Dave Gallagher, top of the 9th. Base hit. Maldonado comes up gunning. Sean Abner coming in.
Third, coming home.
Didn't get him. The Angels are up 5-4. Brian Harvey looking for the save. Number 46 it would have been in the ninth. Alomar grounds. Here's Kevin Flora. Throws it away. White comes in. The Jays tie it at 5. Alomar steals third. The table is set for Joe Carter to feast.
Base hit. Blue Jays win the East. Let the celebration begin.
And celebrate they did, and celebrate they should. Toronto over top of California. The final score is 6-5. The Blue Jays clinch first place in the American League East. They will, of course, go on to meet the Minnesota Twins in the American League Championship Series. Mark Bunting was around for all the celebrating afterwards.
This will make people forget about 87. They can't say anything we heard the whole year. We can put it to rest because we didn't choke it up. Whenever the going got tough, we bent a little bit, but we never broke. And this team has just been awesome.
I was jumping to home plate. I knew I was going to score. You know, it was a great feeling for me in that moment. I was jumping and I just touched home plate, gave you a hug to Johnny all the route, and after that, I just went and jumped against Joe Carter, and we feel real happy today.
I've won championships in AAA and in winter ball, but it's never been on this level, and it's never been this much fun, and all the guys on the team, you know, were really, really committed to winning here. You know, they're a good bunch of guys, and they never gave up, even tonight.
When you've won in the past, of course, you go on. This time you don't. Is that sort of a bittersweet feeling?
Yeah, it is. I think it would be a little too tough for me to be there and not be able to participate. So, you know, I'll probably go home Sunday after the game, and along with that, I'll be pulling with them just as much at home as I were there.
It's been a battle. It's been a struggle the whole year, and thank God we came out on time.
We did it! Right from the Scott Dome.
Thanks, Eddie. Well, that's sort of the standard shot in the dressing room. The media guy gets that. A brand new TSN blazer. Anyway, the Twins are going to take on the Blue Jays. The Jays take off for Minnesota tonight. And we'll be there in Minnesota starting on Tuesday. So we'll see you then. Mark Bunting, TSN in the Jays clubhouse in Toronto.
Great thing about polyester is it cleans easily, however. Here's a look at the winners in the East, the way the Blue Jays have done it. Back in October of 1985, they did on October the 5th. In 1989, it was September the 30th. October the 2nd is the date to pencil in, Blue Jays fans. This year, congratulations to the Blue Jays and good luck to them. There will be those who will have a crystal clear memory of tonight's game and the ensuing celebration, and there are those to whom the lens of memory will be a little bit foggy, out of focus, kind of like trying to look at something through the bottom of a beer mug, perhaps. With the reaction from the bars and the streets of Toronto, here's Teresa Hergert.
In a crowded downtown Toronto bar, Blue Jay fans were put on an emotional roller coaster. But when it was official, the Blue Jays had won the AL East. All the tense moments were forgotten.
It's the greatest feeling in the world. And we've got 3 more weeks of more emotionalism. But we're going to do it to come all the way from London, England today to see the Jays win. It's been fantastic. I'd love to wanted to go all the way and win the World Series. My favourite city, my favourite team.
Wonderful. It's amazing. And we're going to go all the way. All the way. We're number one. It's great.
Outside the Sky Dome, pandemonium as over 50,000 people rushed out onto the streets. City police closed down Yonge Street. There were lots of rowdy fans, but no rioting or looting. The biggest crowds were back at the Sky Dome.
So
what should happen should the Jays take this one step further and win the AL Championship Series for the first time in franchise history. Teresa Herger, TSN, Toronto.
3 times lucky is perhaps a phrase Blue Jays fans can fall back on this time around. There were American League Eastern Championships in 1985 and again in 1989, as we've mentioned. But taking that extra step, that gigantic step, as it has been towards the World Series, has been like trying to step over the Grand Canyon for the Blue Jays. This year's cast may finally bridge the gap. Unlike past Blue Jays division winners, the key components of this team were acquired through the trade route. Pat Gillick changing the entire complexion of the ball club before the season, bidding farewell to such mainstays as Tony Fernandez, Fred McGriff, and George Bell. On the way in, Devon White, Roberto Alomar, and Joe Carter. Some new blood, revitalizing the team and turning it into a slash-and-run outfit. A team no longer waiting for the 3-run home run, but a team built on speed and on defense. And the mid-season addition of a top-flight pitcher like Tom Candiotti is something never before seen in Toronto. Only 6 players hold over from the team that beat the Yankees on the second-last day of the 1985 season, marking the Blue Jays' first-ever division championship. Those players are Jimmy Key, Tom Henke, Rance Mullinick, Jim Acker, in a roundabout way, and Manny Lee and Kelly Gruber were on the roster as well. And the team chemistry from the squad that won the title in 1989 has also been vastly altered. And yet there are some similarities between this year's squad and those 2 previous division winners. Middle relief, a hallmark of the 1985 team, with Dennis Lamp going 11-0. In 1989, left-hander David Wells played a prominent role out of the bullpen, and the reacquisition of Jim Acker late in the season provided the added boost. This year, Mike Timlin has been the bullpen surprise, garnering 10 wins. Mid-season call-ups to the starting rotation have been a common thread of the 3 championship teams. Does anyone remember Tom Filer in 1985? He stepped into the Jays rotation and promptly went 7-0 down the stretch. And in 1989, Mauro Goose Gazzo won his first 4 decisions. And in 1991, Juan Guzman has won a team record 10 consecutive decisions. He hasn't lost in 20 starts. Late-season trades for a couple of veteran hitters, also a repeated trend seen in all the division winners. In 1985, Al Oliver and old Blue Jay favorite Cliff Johnson were brought in and provided some clutch hits. In 1989, the newest fan favorite Mookie Wilson was brought aboard, igniting the Toronto offense with his speed and his hustle. And this season, the big bats of Candy Maldonado and Dave Parker have been added to the lineup. But Blue Jays fans are hoping the similarities end right about there, and that this year's division winner can become champions of more than just a division. So the American League Championship Series, the Blue Jays and the Twins. The Jays have yet to announce whether they're going to go with a 3-man rotation or a 4-man rotation. If they go with 3, it'll be interesting to see who the odd man out will be. Jack Morris will start the first game for the Twins. Well, still lots more to talk about when we come back. A little bit of hockey, the Eric Lindros saga, just an update for you. And, of course, baseball, a fantastic race going on in the National League West. The LA Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. The Dodgers were in tough in their game, and so too were the Atlanta Braves. Sure, the Jays have wrapped things up in the East, but still a battle royal going in the NL West.
Presenting some of the 2,000 body parts you can clean with new Lever 2000 deodorant soap. Tough parts like those hard-working toes. Soft parts like the little divot under your nose. We do armpits, but we also do cheeks. That's cheeks. All without drying your skin like leading deodorant soaps, because new Lever 2000 has gentle skincare ingredients. You can even use it on baby parts, mama parts, and papa parts. New Lever 2000, a new deodorant soap that's better for your skin and all your 2,000 parts.
The LA Dodgers 1 game up in the Atlanta Braves in the National League West heading into play tonight. Not to use too broad a stroke to paint the picture, but there is a definite sentiment amongst many American baseball fans towards the Braves. a Braves win would be good for baseball. The Dodgers in general and Darryl Strawberry in particular using that as incentive. It's making us work harder, says Strawberry, and no one has been working harder the last few games than Darryl Strawberry. He has sparkled for this man, Tommy Lasorda. Bottom of the first with 2 on, Darryl Strawberry pulls a single. Brett Butler will come wheeling around to score, but Lenny Harris gets greedy, goes for 3, and doesn't get it. 1-0 Dodgers. San Diego ties the score in the 3rd. Then on the top of the 5th, Benito Santiago puts the Padres in front. Solo home run, his 17th of the year, 2-1 San Diego. But in the bottom of the inning, Strawberry.
1 for 2. Lifts it deep to straightaway center field. Jackson going back.
It is the 3rd straight game in which he is homered. It's a 2-run shot. It's 3-2 L.A. Game's tied at 3 after 7. San Diego scratching out. 5 infield hits in the 8th with rolls like that. 6-3. Mike Shipley squibs one through. Juan Samuel with no play. Fred McGriff comes in. 7-3 San Diego. One very frustrating inning for the Dodgers. Creates a first-place tie in the National League West. San Diego 9-4 winners. Now, what had happened earlier in the evening is this: Atlanta and Cincinnati. And it was Atlanta exploding in the top of the 1st inning. Terry Pendleton slashing one. The ball rolls into the corner. Pendleton ends up with not a double, but a triple. And it's 1-0 for Atlanta. Then with the score 4-0, Lonnie Smith comes to bat for the 2nd time in the inning. Greg Olson and Rafael Belliard come in. The Braves sending 12 men to the plate. They score 6, count them, 6 runs, more than enough for Tom Glavine. Looking to become the Majors' first 20-game winner, gets Paul O'Neill there, and Eric Davis comes in, and watch him just rip through a strike 3. Glavine gets his 20th win. The Braves also pick up the victory. That was earlier in the evening. Afterwards, you saw what happened. The Dodgers lost, so the picture is like this. In the National League West, they are all tied, L.A. and Atlanta. What a roller coaster finish it's going to be in the NL West. Will be a lot of fun to watch. Other games going on, none of which mean a great deal at this stage of the game. St. Louis over top of Montreal. In 11 innings, New York picks up the win. Chicago shutting out Philadelphia. And Houston against San Francisco, 7-5 the final in that one. Now back to the American League East. And for the Boston Red Sox, kind of like being in a car without a steering wheel. The ride will eventually come to an end, but you can't impose any control. That was the situation they found themselves in tonight. Obviously, if the Blue Jays won, that was it, and there had to be a certain amount of pressure on them. Joe Heskett there with a wild pitch early, maybe feeling the pressure. Skeeter Barnes sneaking in. It's 1-0 Tigers. Sox tied in the bottom of the inning. Jody Reed with that shot. Wade Boggs comes in to score, and it's tied at 1. Great defensive play. Watch Phil Plantier. Comes in, got under it. Bottom of the 5th inning, scores tied at 2. Mo Vaughn with a single. Plantier comes in to score. The Sox are up 3-2. Keep in mind, looking up at the scoreboard at this stage, they still don't know what's happened in the Blue Jays game. 5th inning, Steve Lyons with the bases loaded drills this one. Great catch by Skeeter Barnes, but then the fated moment, they put the score up and they slide it through that it's a final, and really, after that, didn't mean much, did it? Boston over top of Detroit, 5-3 is the final. Other games, Minnesota and Chicago postponed. Seattle playing Texas 4-3 the final here. Oakland at Kansas City, 16-5. Got the Kansas City Chiefs or the Kansas City Royals. Baltimore playing New York, 4-3 is the final. And Milwaukee against Cleveland. Well, would it end any other way for the Tribe? Hockey, when we come back, the season opens tomorrow night. We will preview the Norris Division. Looks like another battle between the St. Louis Blues and the Chicago Blackhawks. The Leafs also hoping maybe to sneak into the playoffs this time around. The Leafs open their season tomorrow night against the Montreal Canadiens, and they are getting into the spirit of the 75th anniversary season of the NHL, auditioning for roles as extras in The Untouchables.
I know something about McCain Super Fries that you don't know. Yeah, what? They're low in Saturday fat. I know something you don't know, McCain Super Fries. Yeah, what's that? The Crystal Free. I know something about McCain Super Fries that neither of you know. What's that? I just ate the last one.
Oven-baked McCain Super Fries. Low in saturated fats, cholesterol-free, and loaded with taste.
This is a research laboratory. It tries and fails to make Castrol motor oil break down. It's the place where Castrol is torture tested to meet the requirements of those who punish motor oil the most. You. The everyday Canadian driver. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's car.
CFTO TV, Channel 9 in Toronto, Cable 8. Newsbeat Today with Kate Wheeler and Tim Weber.
Good afternoon. Toronto is in love with its Blue Jays.
Last night, the Jays clinched their third American League East title in their 15-year history, and the fans took to the streets to celebrate. CFTO's Bill Hutchison has more.
It was a sea of smiles and a chorus of "We're number one" as fans poured out of the Sky Dome last night.
Number one! World Series all the way up!
In front of the Eaton Center, fans took over Yonge Street for a while. But under the watchful eye of police, the partying, although noisy, was fairly respectable, and there were no serious incidents reported. But that may be putting the horse before the Carter. Joe Carter, that is. He gave the fans their reason for celebration last night with a bottom of the ninth RBI to clinch the AL East title.
Base hit! Blue Jays win the East! Let the celebration begin!
Gotta believe it. It was awesome. 2 runs from bottom of the ninth. Carter, you gotta like that.
4 million fans liked it under the dome this year as the Jays set a new standard for fan support. In appreciation, the Blue Jays handed out souvenir T-shirts to the 50,000 in attendance last night. Many fans put the shirts to good use. Local merchants have their own T-shirts to celebrate the Jays' East Division supremacy, and another in the stockroom should the Jays go even further. But first, the Jays have to get past Minnesota. These fans don't think that will be too much of a challenge.
I think it's fabulous. That's what I think. Number one, World Series.
Bill Hutchison, CFTO News.
Still ahead on Newsbeat Today, these Soviet cosmonauts may
On
be
Real
the
TV, TSN.
Ahead on Sportsdesk, Mark Messier finally gets his wish. He's now a New York Ranger. The Braves hope they'll be able to tell how the West was won. And they are dancing at the Dome as the Argos welcome back the pinball. Television with a jump.
Sportsdesk is brought to you by Suzuki, where the wheels are turning.
Hello there and welcome to Sportsdesk. I'm Paul Romanach. Also coming up tonight, a look at Yari Curry's debut as a member of the Los Angeles Kings. We'll take a look at the first National Hockey League game that the San Jose Sharks have played in. Lots coming up, but we'll start things off with Mark Messier. Off to New York. The trade has been talked about for weeks by fans and by the two teams involved. New York at one point balking at including Stephen Rice in the deal, a blue-chip prospect drafted by the Rangers in the first round of 1989. But here is how it finally did come down. Stephen Rice was involved in the trade, along with another good young tough player, Louis DeBrusque, and the veteran Bernie Nichols. To the Rangers, Mark Messier, future considerations, undisclosed dollars. The undisclosed dollars most definitely in the millions of dollars. Now, this trade, along with the Grant Fuhr trade a couple of weeks ago, completing the gutting of the Oilers' powerhouse teams of the mid and late 1980s. Think of it: Gretzky, Coffey, Curry, Anderson, McClellan, Gregg, Fuhr, Messier, even John Muckler for that matter. They're all gone. But Glenn Sather and the rest of the Oilers organization, from what I've been able to gather, viewing this as a tremendous challenge and a chance to build it all up again. And Glenn Sather will likely do just that. So Mark Messier's first game in the NHL without the Oilers' colors on his back, taking place tomorrow night against the Montreal Canadiens. Like seeing Bobby Orr in a Chicago uniform, Guy Lafleur in a Rangers jersey, it just won't look right at first.
Mark Messier walked into a Montreal press gathering on Friday looking very much like a happy man and relieved as well to finally get his career back underway. The five-time Stanley Cup winner and former Edmonton Oiler captain is now a New York Ranger. General Manager Neil Smith called the trade a hockey fantasy come true.
He will make everybody believe that the New York Rangers can actually win, and I'm not sure that there's ever been anybody yet in the last God knows how many years that's been able to really make the New York Rangers believe that they can win.
Messier skated with his new teammates later on in the afternoon and pronounced himself ready to play Saturday night against the Canadiens. The gimpy knees that have bothered Messier through the last few years of his career appear to be a problem of the past.
Neil had me flown to the doctor in New York last night before I arrived in Montreal, and spent about an hour with the doctor, and he assured me, and I'm sure that he assured Neil that my knee was okay. I passed with a clean bill of health, and I'm ready to roll.
Messier is expected to have an immediate impact on the Rangers. His leadership qualities are legendary. Practice today had a certain electricity to it that New York hockey observers say has been missing through most of their training camp.
He's like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks, players listen, and the Rangers need that. And it'll take them, I think, a step above what they've been in the last few years. They have a lot of talent on this hockey club. Now perhaps they can find a way to push it to another level.
Messier's agent, who happens to be his father, and Smith have yet to agree on a contract, although both parties have said that money will not be a factor. I'm Michael Whalen in Montreal, and now here's Peter Watts in Calgary, where the Edmonton Oilers prepare to meet the Flames this evening.
In Calgary, the Oiler players who remain are pretty pleased with the reassembly job which Glenn Sather has done on the roster.
All the young guys played a lot of years in the NHL. Myself is coming in my sixth, and I'm only 23. So our guys are really young, and I think it looks really bright for the future. And I think this year we're going to be very competitive.
I think everybody knows Bernie Nichols is capable of scoring goals and making the right plays at the right time. And you know, with Stephen Rice, he's just an all-around good player. He can do almost everything as well as score. And Louis Dabrowski, he's a good player. He's a big, tough kid, and he's someone to be reckoned with in this league.
We've got a lot of depth. You know, obviously you don't ever replace a player like Mark, both on and off the ice.
It's been an especially tough summer for defenseman Kevin Lowe, who's had to say goodbye to a lot of great teammates and good friends. But the last of the original Oilers says he, too, can find a lot of positives in what's happened.
It's a new opportunity. It's a good chance to feed off the young guys that are here. I mean, you know, some good friends have gone other ways, but I hope it can be a win-win situation for everybody. I hope the guys will be real happy and real successful wherever they are, and I really hope that the Oilers will be successful, continue to be successful, and to me that would be the ideal situation.
And certainly head coach Ted Green is pleased, knowing now what he will have to work with, barring any other trades, of course.
It's my feeling through the acquisition of these different people in the trades that we have a team that can play with speed, and we're going to have a team that can play with skill. But also, if you want to play the other game, we can surround you with toughness.
3 weeks ago, there were a lot of concerns about the Edmonton Oilers roster. Today, there is nothing but optimism. Good players and young players have been brought in, and the prognosis is for a very competitive hockey team this season. Peter Watts, TSN, in Calgary.
Well, this trade is certainly not going to affect the average Edmontonian's life to any great extent. There is, as with most trades, a wide range of public opinion. Here's what a few people had to say, starting with the general manager.
We've traded a lot of people from this hockey club that have been great players, but I think that what we're doing is trying to build this organization to be strong in the future. I don't want to be caught in a situation where we're going to be struggling here for 5 or 6 years trying to depend on the draft to get back to be competitive.
Oilers management took a lot of heat for the selling of Wayne Gretzky when he went to the Kings.
But in this instance, according to Glenn Sather, players only are involved.
We've tried to build with talent and youth. Money hasn't been the picture. It's nothing to do with it.
Fans in this city have been waiting for this deal. It was not a surprise to them at all.
I think they could have gotten a better deal. I think the Islander options were a lot better in terms of getting somebody younger like a Pat LaFontaine.
Oh, he's a great guy. You can't replace someone like Mark. He said he wanted to finish his career in Edmonton, but I guess if you want to go with youth, you got to go all the way. We're getting some pretty good guys. I'm more excited about Rice than I am with Nichols. He's pretty old, but not a bad trade. If he's got to go, he's got to go.
I'm not that upset, to tell you the truth. Why not? I don't think he tried as hard as everyone. I don't think he was as good as everyone said he was. So, and he doesn't want to be here, so let him go.
There's little doubt the future looks pretty bright right now for the Oilers, and from appearances at least, the fans in this city seem to be more than aware of the potential of this team now. The question is now, how long will they have to wait for the success? It all looks pretty good on paper. Now they'll have to do it on the ice. Ken Chillibeck, TSN in Edmonton.
And the Oilers didn't do much on the ice tonight. They struggled against the Calgary Flames. 16 seconds into the game, Doug Gilmour feeds Theoren Fleury. And Fleury from just inside the circle beats Bill Ranford. It's 1-0. Later in the period, Flames up 2-1. Fleury will work it in.
Fleury going for the net, right in. Here's Reichel.
Reichel on the power play. The Flames lead 3-1. Still in the first, Esatikin into Scott Mellenby. And he redirects it past Mike Vernon. It's 3-2, Oilers trailing. 1 minute and 30 seconds into the second period now. Ranheim to Fleury. It's 5-2 Calgary. And 30 seconds later, Gary Suter will take a shot that's stopped. And Stefan Matteau picks up the rebound. Flames out in front 6-2. Then in the third period, Flames leading at 8-2, and Peter Ing will come on in relief of Bill Ranford, replacing the beleaguered Bill Ranford. Doesn't fare much better, though. Jamie McCowan will score on this shot. And the Flames lead it by a score of 9-2. The final score is just that. 9-2 Calgary over top of the new look, we'll call them, Edmonton Oilers. Esatikin and Scott Mellenby scoring for Edmonton. For Calgary, Fleury with a pair, Robert Reichel, Joel Otto, Al McInnes, Stefan Matteau, Ronnie Stern, Martin Simard, and Jamie McCown. The Flames outshot the Oilers 45-22. We will have baseball highlights a little bit later on in the show, but up next, more hockey to pass your way. The Pittsburgh Penguins in Buffalo as those two teams open up their respective season. The defending Stanley Cup champions with Mario in the lineup, but a lot of question marks. And the Winnipeg Jets open at home against the LA Kings. Highlights when we come back.
Theory was unusual. Bridgestone engineers used the tire in motion to shape a new design. Result, compared to our proven conventional radials, more tire stays in contact with the road for sharper cornering and quicker stops. Bridgestone Arcot, taking the abstract to the concrete.
Enter the Bridgestone Performance Sweepstakes at your Bridgestone dealer, and you could win a Mazda Miata or a set of Bridgestone tires.
Well, the San Jose Sharks will be swimming upstream this season for sure. Not unusual for an expansion team. Coach George Kingston with a team that he hopes will at least make the opposition take its lumps while giving the Sharks theirs. The San Jose Sharks lineup liberally stocked with tough guys. There isn't a player in the lineup, however, who scored 20 goals in the NHL last year, so they will have trouble scoring. Opening their NHL existence against the Vancouver Canucks. Love those Pacific teal uniforms. That is Brian Adams dropping the puck. And we'll show you one goal. Jeff Courtnall gets it against Jeff Hackett, and that was one of many shots directed in Hackett's direction. The Canucks fired 52 shots on goal and went on to win by a score of 4-3. Craig Cox and Pat McLeod with the pair, the marksman for San Jose. Jeff Courtnall, Peter Nedved, Cliff Ronning, and Trevor Linden scoring for the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks 52 shots on goal. The Kings and the Jets, Yari Curry making his debut as an LA King. Daniel Bertune getting cut out of position here early in the game, and that gives the Winnipeg Jets an easy ticket to punch and a 1-0 lead. Dave McElwain gets the goal. Still in the first period, it's 2-1 Winnipeg. Thomas Sandstrom to Curry. Doesn't miss from that range at all. We're tied at 2. 10 seconds later, Sandstrom to Curry, who beats Beauregard. It's 3-2 for the Kings. Daniel Bertune making up for his earlier mistake. Watch this. Stones Pat Allenuk in the breakaway. Late in the third, Gretzky, great work along the boards to Curry. And Curry gets the hat trick. Gretzky to Curry. It's like they never stopped playing together. LA defeats Winnipeg. The final score is 6-3. And it was Yari Curry picking up the hat trick. Wayne Gretzky had 2 assists in the game. Freddie Olesen with a pair of goals for Winnipeg. Dave McElwain with the other one. Rounding up the Kings scoring, Bob Kadulski, Tony Granato, and Luc Robitaille. You know, you could argue quite convincingly that the Pittsburgh Penguins are opening the season without their MVP. Yes, Mario Lemieux is in the lineup, but the man that made them believe they were capable of winning a Stanley Cup and helping push the Penguins to that goal isn't where he should be. Coach Bob Johnson is still recovering from major surgery to remove part of a tumor from his brain. As a result, the NHL's all-time winningest coach, Scott Bowman, is back behind the bench. Late in the first period, Pittsburgh on the power play. Mark Recchi tries to center it, but the puck hits Dave Andrechuk's skate and goes in past Darren Pupa. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Second period, score tied at 1. Benoit Hogue will feed Doug Bodger at the point, and he snaps it in behind Barrasso. It's 2-1 Sabres. Minutes later, Christian Ruutu will flip the puck ahead to Brad May, and Brad May, former member of the Niagara Falls Thunder of the Ontario Hockey League, scores his first NHL goal. Pittsburgh storming back, though, down 3-2 in the third. Recchi's initial shot is blocked, and then Stevens bangs home the loose puck. Game's tied at 3. Late in the third, Pittsburgh in deep again. Jaromir Jagr with the move and the feed to Mario Lemieux. And Lemieux gets the go-ahead goal. It's 4-3 Penguins, and Pittsburgh goes on to win this one by a score of 5-4. Lemieux with a goal and an assist. Mark Recchi, Phil Bourque, and Lemieux scoring, as well as Stevens and Gordy Roberts for Pittsburgh. Dale Hawerchuk, Doug Bodger, Brad May, and Uwe Krupp scoring for the Buffalo Sabres. Jagr with 3 assists for the Pittsburgh Penguins on the way to the win. And Philadelphia and Washington 5-2, the final in this one. Mike Ricci and Tony Horacek scoring for Philadelphia. Sylvain Cote, Peter Bondra with the pair, Randy Burridge, and Dmitry Kristich scoring for Washington. One other note for you. Capitals winger Kelly Miller sitting out the game in protest over his current contract situation. He wants to renegotiate. The Caps don't, so there you have it. Cliff Fletcher, the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, will remain with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That issue was actually in doubt somewhat after businessman Steve Stavro gained control of Maple Leaf Gardens and the Leafs last week, well after Fletcher had signed his multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract. Stavro had openly questioned both Fletcher's salary and his power within the organization. However, the two men working things out, or their lawyers working things out, Fletcher will continue as chief operating officer and general manager of the team, but the compromise is he will now report to an executive committee. That committee will be put together on October the 22nd. Well, baseball coming up next in Sports Desk. The battle to be the best in the West continues to rage, and what a battle it is. The LA Dodgers playing San Francisco, and the Atlanta Braves at home against Houston. Highlights of both games when we come back.
The fascination always existed. The human body, without doubt, is the greatest of inventions. Flawless in design, capable of astonishing feats. Amazingly, the harder the body is worked, the stronger, more beautiful it becomes. To unlock your body's potential, we proudly offer SoloFlex. 32 old-fashioned iron-pumping exercises, each correct in form and balance, all on a machine that fits in the corner of your home. SoloFlex, simple and efficient. like the body itself, which may explain why it looks less like a machine and more like a work of art. For a free brochure, call anytime.
The story of McCain Jr. juice. What's wrong, Emily? I can't finish my juice box. It's too big. I wish someone made a little juice box just for us. Cheer up, little one. McCain Jr. juice is made just for you. It's smaller. Goodbye, you Kafani! Thanks, McCain. It's a happy day.
McCain Jr. juice made smaller so it's perfect for little kids.
The best race in baseball roaring into the weekend tonight with the LA Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves tied for first place. The Dodgers finishing up against the San Francisco Giants. Ramon Martinez pitching for the Dodgers. He did not pitch well in his last start on September the 28th, which was against San Francisco. He was chased in that game after 7 innings, and he took the 4-1 loss. In his last 4 starts, Martinez's ERA is over 5. They would need a big performance from him tonight, and they didn't get it. Bottom of the first, Martinez deals, and Will Clark drills this, and it is gone. His 29th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, 2-0 San Francisco. Martinez gets the next out, but then Matt Williams.
One way out of here to left field.
And the Giants are up 3-0 after 1. Bottom of the 6th inning, Giants with the bases loaded. Steve Wilson against Tommy Herr strikes him out. Giants come up empty. It's 3-1 San Fran. Top of the 7th. Jeff Brantley against Darryl Strawberry. Gets Strawberry looking with 2 men on. The Dodgers running out of time in this one. Top of the 9th. 2 outs and a man on. Jeff Brantley against Brett Butler. Good night. The game is over. And the final score in this one is 4-1 San Francisco over LA. The bad news for LA is that earlier in the night, Atlanta had defeated Houston. Top of the 1st inning, men on 2nd and 3rd for Javier Ortiz, but Steve Avery gets him looking. Avery had a great game. More about that in a moment. Right now, some support for Avery. Lonnie Smith with a single. Rafael Belliard comes in to score. It's 2-0 for the Braves. Then in the top of the 4th, 3-0 Braves. Avery gets Ken Caminiti looking at strike 3. A no-hitter through 4 for Avery. In the 5th, and Harcedeno fishing for the ball outside. Avery with a no-hitter through 5. Home half of the inning, Terry Pendleton rides this one. Braves are up 4-0. Top of the 7th, Avery retires the first 2 batters of the inning, but then the no-hit bid comes to an end. Luis Gonzalez with a double. The no-hitter is history, but not the victory. Atlanta and Steve Avery downing Houston by a score of 5-2. The difference tonight, to boil it down, the ace for the Dodgers, Martinez, didn't pitch well. The ace for the Braves, Avery, pitched extremely well. So it looks like this. LA, 1 game back of Atlanta. The Braves' magic number is 2. They control their own fate. If they win the last 2 games, it doesn't matter what LA does. It is over. Other games to tell you about: Montreal over Pittsburgh. Final score is 3-1. Spike Owen had a home run in this game for Montreal. This game washed out as a result of rain. They'll make it up as a doubleheader on Saturday. In 10 innings, Philadelphia over New York 5-4, and Cincinnati playing San Diego. Another close one here, 3-2 is the final. It is no doubt tough enough to be a consistent hitter in baseball without any additional curves being thrown your way, like, for example, facing a flutter ball pitcher followed by a fastball pitcher. Wouldn't do much for the old timing. The combination has worked very well for the Toronto Blue Jays, more particularly for Juan Guzman. He's been outstanding following Tom Candiotti in the Jays rotation, and this is exactly what will happen. The Jays setting their pitching rotation. You have Candiotti pitching the first game against Jack Morris. In the second game, Guzman comes in. Guzman has not lost a decision following Candiotti in the rotation. Kevin Tapani pitching the second game for Minnesota. Scott Erickson, the 3rd man in the Minnesota rotation. Minnesota going with a 3-man rotation. Jimmy Key comes in to pitch for Toronto. And in the 4th game, you see Jack Morris back in for Minnesota. Todd Stottlemyre will get the start for the Toronto Blue Jays. You can follow the Toronto Blue Jays on the road to the World Series, the American League Championship, Complete coverage here on TSN. Sportsdesk Extra will follow the early edition of Sportsdesk starting on Monday. John Wells will co-host it with former Blue Jays pitcher Dennis Lamp. Buck Martinez and Mark Bunting will be on location in Minnesota. And tonight, a dress rehearsal for the American League Championship Series, a dress rehearsal featuring many of the understudies or players making guest appearances in other roles. The game, obviously, not that important. Jays get on the board in the top of the first. Candy Maldonado with a single. Joe Carter comes in to score. It's 1-0 for Toronto. Even though the regulars were resting, some nice defense by the backups. Eddie Zosky right here with a nice grab, and then he gets the force at second. Double play. Todd Stottlemyre will be starting game 4, as I just mentioned, and he's effective in this one. Gets Shane Mack swinging there. In the top of the 5th, the Jays add another run. Turner Ward with a single.
Single to center.
And Eddie Zosky will come in to count. 2-0 for the Jays. And the best news, the most significant news in this game, the fact that Tom Henke came in to pitch. He came in the 7th, and he looked pretty good. And so did the Jays, for what it's worth, going on to beat Minnesota. The final score in this one is 4-1. Cleveland over top of New York. Final score is 3-2. The Cleveland Indians pick up a win. That's some good news in what's been a miserable year for them. Detroit over Baltimore, 4-2. The final, Mickey Tettleton with a home run for Detroit. Glenn Davis for Baltimore. Milwaukee, 3-2 over Boston. Doug Henry with the save. Texas 4-3 over Oakland. Ricky Henderson and Harold Baines with home runs for Oakland. Brian McRae with his 8th home run of the year for Kansas City. Jay Buhner with a home run for Seattle on the way to a win over Chicago. When we come back, football, highlights of the game played tonight, and also...
Atlanta controlling their destiny heading into today's action, holding a 1-game lead over Los Angeles. Let's check out the Dodgers first. In San Francisco, Giants leading 1-0 in the 6th. Matt Williams into the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody's going to find that one. Play at the plate. Gary Carter gets the ball. Doesn't block the plate, though. 4-0 was the final for the Giants. So the Braves just needed a win to clinch. Ron Gant, red hot, seals it, his 32nd homer of the year. 5-2 was the final. The Braves win the West. And there's the final out, Dave Justice. Jays playing out the weekend series in Mini before the...
The Braves are definitely baseball's hottest stuff. Now as the playoffs arrive, they made up 9.5 games on the Dodgers since the All-Star break, went 55-27 in the second half and clinched the West, showing little, if any, pressure doing it today.
I didn't have any. You guys keep talking about pressure. What are you guys talking about? I was nice and relaxed. So was my teammates. That's why they went out and did what they did today.
Probably tomorrow. Tonight's going to be a great night. I'm going to go home with my family and celebrate and just relax, because really I'm about as mentally tired as it gets, but it's time to go, and we got to hit the road to Pittsburgh.
The Atlanta Braves won our division. We didn't lose it. They came out and won 50, I don't know, what is it, 54, 55 games the second half. They played tremendous baseball. I'd like to congratulate them. There's no doubt in my mind they came out and they won the second half.
The NLCS Open Wednesday night at Pittsburgh. Blue Jays
on the diamonds. The Braves knocked off the Astros while the Dodgers lost to the Giants. We move to the 5th, 4-2 Braves with the big lead when Ron Gant plows one off Gardner to left, a solo shot, put the Braves up on top for good, leading it 5-2. They're going crazy down in Atlanta. We move to the top of the 9th now, 2 outs, and Dave Justice out in right field hauls it down. The final out, Braves down the Astros 5-2, while the Dodgers lost to the Giants 4-0. So the Braves, the worst team in baseball last year, they win the National League West today.
You're tired of watching other players do what you want to do, and this is a situation that every guy on this team may never get another chance.
We did a great job of taking it one game at a time. We did a great job of that. And so I could never say that at some point in time we said, hey, we're going to win this. You know, we just knew that we took it one game at a time and played hard. We had a good shot.
Now the National League Championship Series begins Wednesday.
They win the NL West.
They expected us to play well, but they didn't expect us to win it. They didn't expect us to do much of anything this season, and I think we surprised a lot of people. We didn't surprise ourselves. We knew we could do it.
And they did it. Atlanta wins 5-2. The Dodgers lose 4-0. Braves open the playoffs.
Straight and combined with the Dodger loss, Atlanta wrapped up the National West. All right, in the first inning of play, they get it started as Terry Pendleton rips one through the left side. Lonnie Smith comes in to score. That makes it a 1-0 game for Los Bravos. In the second, it is 2-0 for Atlanta. And Lonnie with this shot to the gap. This one will bounce over the wall. A ground rule double. Rafael Belliard comes in to score, and the Braves take the lead at 3-0. Then Andujar Cedeno commits his 5th there in 11 innings. My. Greg Olson hit that one. Ron Gant scores to make it 4-0. Then Cedeno helps out offensively as he bangs one off the wall. It gets away from Lonnie Smith. Jeff Bagwell comes in to score. That made it a 4-1 game. Then it is Casey Candell singling to right. Cedeno will come in to score. That made it 4-2. However, Atlanta would tack on another run and win the game. The final score was 5-2. Ron Gant's 32nd home run. And, of course, as we mentioned, they clinched the West. Afterwards, Dave Justice said the Braves were able to stay focused during the pennant drive.
We did a great job of taking it one game at a time. We did a great job of that. And so I could never say that at some point in time we said, hey, we're going to win this. You know, we just knew that we took it one game at a time and played hard. We had a good shot.
I've been one of the guys that's been around here for a few years, and it hadn't been a pretty sight. I mean, it's been pretty bad. I mean, we hadn't been able to win the last few years. And for this thing to come together and see the young pitchers do the job that they've done, I mean, it's really something great. And I feel like we're going to win everything, the World Series, playoffs, and everything.
We'll see about that. On to Candlestick for the Dodgers' swan song against the Giants, and not much to cheer about. This was Dave Derdvecki throwing the first pitch after, of course, losing the arm to cancer. Very brave individual indeed. As we watch here in the fourth, Matt Williams singles to left, and Will Clark will come in to score. This makes it a 1-0 game for San Francisco. Now in the sixth, it was kind of a rough inning as far as Gary Carter was concerned. Williams again. This time he will hit a single to center, a little bloop shot there. Willie McGee rounds third, and on the play will come in and bowl over Carter. He beat the tag there. That made it 2-0. Gary wasn't too happy with the call there. Then Robbie Thompson comes through as he flies one to left. Cal Daniels will make the catch here. Will Clark is on third, and as he comes home, he sort of kicks the ball out of Carter's glove right there. As we say, Gary didn't have a good sixth inning at least. That made it actually a 4-0 game as Williams scored in the play as well. 2-hit shutout by Wilson, and the Dodgers are toast. Elsewhere, Phils beat the Mets. Final score was 1-0. Chicago twice beat St. Louis by scores of 3-2 in the first game and 7-5 in the second game. Meantime, Pittsburgh gets 3 in the eighth. They beat Montreal by 4-3 in that one. On the coast, Cincinnati leads San Diego. It is 5-3. That is in the third inning of play. Meantime, Blue Jays of Minnesota, Twins looking to get Scott Erickson his 20th win at the expense of Juan Guzman, and as a matter of fact, that's the way it turned out. This is the only run they get off Guzman. He was only in for 3 or 4 innings. Kirby Puckett sending one to the wall. Chuck Knobloch will come around to score, and on the play, Puckett gets a little greedy, and he is gunned out at third, but it was 1-0 for the Twins, a lead they would not relinquish. In the sixth, Chili Davis with a solo shot to center off David Weathers, and the Minnesotas take the lead at 2-0. And then, watch what happens here. Shane Mack will hit it to center, and he's a little undecided whether to go for the single or go for 2. He says, hey, why not 2? The throw to second, and he's safe, but Zosky gets it right in the puss there. But he was okay, really. And the only Toronto run came later, a home run by Alomar. Tomorrow, it's Pat Henkin and Tom Edens, the starting pitchers in the season finale for both before the playoffs Tuesday. Meantime, Milwaukee snows Boston by 13-4. In 12, it was Cleveland beating the Yankees by 7-5. Baltimore, meantime, tops Detroit by a count of 7-3. In the seventh, it is Oakland leading Texas by 9-3. Kansas City and California are scoreless in the fourth inning of play, and Seattle leading the White Sox by 4-0. That is in the third inning. Well, Blaine McAllister leads by
Series, the Jays against the Twins in Minneapolis. The Twins have beaten up on the East Division teams this year, with the exception of the Toronto Blue Jays. The Jays had won 7 of 11 overall and 3 of 5 at the Metrodome this season, and they got off to a great start this afternoon in the final game of the regular season. Devon White leads off the game with a drive to straightaway center field. Kirby Puckett goes back, runs out of room, though. The ball just makes it over the outfield fence. White's 17th home run. White came up again in the third. Tom Edens sails a pitch over his head. Edens, not Sedens. White, furious with Edens, does not charge the mound, however. Instead, he strikes back with his arm. Watch here. Shane Mack will hit this one off the baggies in right center field. Joe Carter falls. White is there to back him up. White, with the great arm, will throw out the runner at third base, trying to steal third. Now, bottom of the 7th, score tied at 1. Rob Ducey loses a fly ball in the lights. That would cost the Jays a run. They trail 2-1 after 7. But with the score tied at 2 in the top of the 10th, Ducey redeems himself by belting this solo shot of Alan Anderson, his first of the year. The Jays end the season on a winning note, a 3-2 win over the Twins at the Metrodome. White, Ducey with home runs for Toronto, Paliarulo for Minnesota. Dwayne Ward picking up his 23rd save. With more from the Metrodome, here's TSN's Mark Bunting.
So the Blue Jays and Twins 3-game rehearsal series is now over, and it's time for the real show to begin. And it seems as if by the time this championship series is over, these two teams won't be the best of friends. The tone for the series may have been set in the 3rd inning of today's game, when Tom Edens seemingly threw at Devon White, and after the game, White was not too happy about it.
This game might mean a lot to him, but, to us, we're just pretty much tuning up for, the playoffs. And, the mistake was made when he threw the ball and I hit it out of the park. It's not like it's my fault. I didn't show him up running around in the bases, so I don't know where that came from.
I'm gonna miss Dan and move his feet, but I'm not trying to hit him. If I wanted to, I think I have good enough control where I can put it in a better spot where he wouldn't be able to get out of the way.
We don't have any bad blood between these two teams. I think we kind of like each other. I can't speak for him. I don't know if he was throwing at Devon, but it kind of looked that way. But if you're going to knock somebody down, as Devon said, you come around the waist, around the chest somewhere. And, of course, Tags got hit too, but we wasn't throwing at him.
Of more importance in Sunday's game was the performance of Tom Henke, who's had some tendonitis in his shoulder. In his second appearance in 3 days, Henke pitched the 6th inning, throwing 15 pitches, 10 of them for strikes. Henke says he's ready to go for the playoffs, even though he might not be the closer to start with.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I mean, it's a little sore, but I'm not having the real sharp pain I was having when the tendonitis was at its worst.
Game 3 starter Jimmy Key will have had 10 days rest by the time Friday rolls around, so Key pitched sort of a simulated game in the bullpen to stay sharp. There were some rumblings that the Blue Jays might still change their starting rotation for the American League Championship Series. The thought was that they might go with Jimmy Key in Game 2 and Juan Guzman in Game 3, perhaps not wanting to subject Guzman, the rookie, to this wild Metrodome crowd. But I talked to Cito Gaston. He said, no, it's set in stone. Tom Candiotti will start Game 1. It'll be Juan Guzman in Game 2 on Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow, the playoff atmosphere begins on Monday, and we'll be here to set the scene for you. Mark Bunting, TSN in Minneapolis.
Thank you, Mark. And here's a look at the matchup for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Tom Candiotti, the knuckleballer, against fast-throwing Jack Morris, 18-12. It all gets underway Tuesday at the Metrodome. And don't forget, Sportsdesk Extra, the road to the World Series, begins Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Bunting and Mr. Martinez are on hand in Minnesota.
It's sad to see an old stadium retired, but today in Baltimore, the Orioles played their last game at Memorial Stadium. It's been 38-year history. The Orioles have won several AL and East Division championships, including 3 World Series. But this afternoon in Baltimore, it was time to move on as the Orioles played their last game at Memorial Stadium. They took on the Detroit Tigers. Here's a look at Memorial Stadium and the grand facade. Over 50,000 Oriole fans were on hand to pay their final respect to their beloved ballpark. The game also marked Ernie Harwell's last Tiger radio broadcast. Well, Detroit went on to win the game 7-1. Cal Ripken ends things by hitting into a 5-4-3 double play. And at that moment, when the game ended, all that was left to do was to think back. as we mentioned, Detroit beating Baltimore 7-1. Frank Tanana will finish the year out at 13-12. Other scores: Juan Gonzalez hit his 27th homer of the year for the Rangers as they downed Oakland 4-2. Doug Henry stepped in to pick up his 15th save for Milwaukee as they beat the Red Sox 6-3. Jack Clark homering his 28th of the year for Boston. Elsewhere, Mel Hall and Kevin Moss hitting 2 homers as New York downed Cleveland 7-4. John Havian picking up his 2nd save. Tim Spear homering for Kansas City, but in a losing cause. Gary Gaetti hitting his 18th of the year for California. 3-1 was the final in the game. Brian Harvey picking up his 46th save of the year. And one other score: Chicago down Seattle 3-2. Homers in this one: Matt Barullo, Dan Pasqua, and Tino Martinez hitting up his 4th homer for the Mariners. Scott Radinsky picking up his 8th save in the game.
Well, Teresa, yesterday the Atlanta Braves clinched the National League West Division title, winning one of the hottest pennant races in Major League history. Just like the Twins in the American League, the Braves have accomplished the near impossible, going from worst to first in just 1 year. And here's a look at the pitching matchup for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. For Atlanta, Tom Glavine, the 20-game winner, up against Doug Drabek, a 15-game winner for Pittsburgh. It all gets underway in the National League on Wednesday. Scores now from the National League on Sunday: Houston downing Atlanta 8-3. Sims and Cedeno with homers for Houston. Willard with his 1st of the season and only of the season for Atlanta. Montreal losing the season finale against Pittsburgh 7-0. John Smiley becoming the first Pirates lefty to win 20 games since John Candelaria back in 1977. Major League record being chased at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Mets starter David Cone on a mission. Cone gets his 6th consecutive strikeout of the game, 6 batters and 6 Ks. 4th inning, Cone gets Dave Hollins. That is strikeout number 10. Then David Cone nails his 15th strikeout. Wes Chamberlain goes down. Cone on his way to a possible record. 9th inning, and Cone gets Mickey Morandini down on strikes. 19th strikeout that tied the National League record held by Tom Seaver and Steve Carlton. New York winning this game 7-0. Miller and Boston with home runs for New York. Cone tossing a 3-hitter, walking only 1 batter. His 19 strikeouts, tying that National League record with Tom Seaver and Steve Carlton. Elsewhere, Chicago over St. Louis 7-3. Grace at Dawson and Villanueva with home runs for Chicago. Dawson had a pair of home runs. He finishes the season with 31. Luis Quinones with his 4th home run for Cincinnati. They lost, though, to San Diego 3-1. Larry Anderson picking up his 13th save. And Jay Howe picking up his 16th save for Los Angeles. The Dodgers, they are out of the National League West Division race, but they win their final game of the season 2-0 over San Francisco at Candlestick.
Well, the pennants have been decided and the regular season is now over. Well, now all that's left for many teams is the crying and, of course, the awards. Who was the best of this 1991 season? The race for the batting title in the American League was really no race at all. Julio Franco had 2 hits Sunday and upped his batting average to .341, good enough to win his 1st batting championship. Terry Pendleton sat out the Braves' regular season finale, and his average stays at .319. That is Pendleton's 1st batting championship as well. Neither Cecil Fielder nor Jose Canseco could manage a home run on the final day of the season, so they finish in a tie for the home run title with 44 each. Howard Johnson had his best season ever, and his 38 home runs easily led the National League. Big Daddy won his 2nd straight RBI title this season. His 133 RBIs were tops in the majors. Hojo knocked in a run Sunday to break a 3-way tie at the top of the National League RBI race. Johnson's 117 RBIs edged both Will Clark and Barry Bonds, who had 116. 2 pitchers from each league managed to win 20 games this season. Scott Erickson and Bill Gullickson in the AL, and Tom Glavine and John Smiley in the NL. All of these pitchers are celebrating the first 20-win seasons of their careers. Roger Clemens survived 2 bad outings in the final week of the season to win the ERA crown, and Dennis Martinez, the hard-luck ace of the Expos staff, showed what a good season he really had, winning the National League ERA crown. A bit of a surprise on top of the American League save list. Brian Harvey earned his 46th save of the season on Sunday. That is a career high. And Lee Smith, happy to be back in the National League. He led the majors.